Welcome to this week's edition of the Swider Insider. I'm your host, Rusty Lindsay, joined with head football coach Mike Swider. Coach, your team comes off a convincing 51-7 victory over Martin Luther in the first round of the playoffs, but one that I think we could probably agree might have been a little frustrating because I think there was probably such high expectations for what that game was supposed to be that it looked like maybe just a little bit of frustration kind of boiled throughout that it didn't end up maybe what was built up to be.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is you set the bar so high, and you know you win 51-6, and you don't feel good. It's I guess that's good, but it's also sad. you know, and then you start you forget that these are human beings. There's a lot of moving parts, and I mean, I condemn myself. It's like they got players and they get coached, and they're working hard, and 51-6 is, well, okay. But yeah, we turned the ball over 2 out of the first 3 series, and that was the thing I think that just sort of made me feel, sort of set the stage a little bit. After that, I think I felt a whole lot better, but that frustrated me a little bit, and knowing that can't happen when you're playing a team that's better than that, and. But, I mean, we had some really good things. I mean, our special teams really were outstanding. And obviously, defensively we played, exceedingly well. And the same thing happens sometimes because you're subbing. So, okay, you win 51-6, you get your starters out after the first series, the second half. I mean, you got to be somewhat realistic, I guess.
Do you feel like some of it was also maybe a little bit of just trying to do too much? Was we're back in the playoffs for the first time in a few years. Everyone wants to make that big play themselves.
Sure, and and their hearts were right. They wanted it to be great, and so you try so hard. But when you look back on it, I mean, you had those couple turnovers, but other than that, I mean, the kids did all right. They did.
Yeah, for an offense that, like we talked about last week, you kind of have to throw your defensive game plan out the window. It felt like they got what you might have expected them to get, but nothing more other than maybe the big play that ended up being the touchdown. But again, it was holding them to 2 yards of carry for the majority of the game.
And they have, you have that long run and 2 passes on basically a busted coverage, and all of a sudden they're under 100 yards of offense. A team that's averaging a bundle. And when teams run that option stuff, I mean, every now and then they're going to crease you a little bit. So our kids really played well. Defensively, they did a good job. A couple turnovers on offense. And, when you look back on it, you always, after I watch the tape, I always feel better than when it's happening.
We had talked kind of about the different look of this option compared to when you're under center and running that wing tee, but almost the speed of it when you see it in person, and when they were going off tackle, that's a hard thing to adjust to because they're getting the ball and getting low into the line immediately.
Well, and that outside veer, see, you run a little inside veer, outside veer, and the outside veer was not something they had done a lot of, and so we sort of had to adjust on the fly a little to that. That wasn't something that. It was mainly the inside veer that we had practiced so much, and then they started running that wide veer, and we really it caught us a little off guard. And our kids, we had run it, but didn't rep it like we rep the other stuff because we were expecting to see that 80% of the time. Then they started running the outside veer 80% of the time, and there was an adjustment that had to be made. And like I said, those guys are repping that every single day for hours for 3 months. We repped it for 3 days for 2 hours. And then that particular play, we rep a handful of times. And then they're pounding it every other snap. So, but our kids responded well, and we got some good players.
When you kind of looked around at the landscape, it's a good lesson to learn and still get a chance to play another week. Or some teams weren't that lucky, and now you get to move on and be one of 16 teams left playing.
Yeah, now I'm happy we're not happy at 51-6, I guess.
We kind of said the same things when St. John's lost. It's good to learn that lesson without having to suffer the consequences.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good place to be.
You move on to this next week, and I think there was a tendency to think that Oshkosh was going to win that game just given that it's the WIAC against the American Rivers Conference. But you get a good Central team, a team that spreads it out and gives you a lot of different looks and a fast-tempo offense. What do you see the hurdles being with this Central team?
It's their quarterback. The quarterback was the player of the year, and he is a really, really good player. He runs all over the place. Very active, twitchy kid. A lot of plays they get are plays where he's scrambling, and all of a sudden you break coverage because the ball's not coming out in time, and he's running around. He's not down. The kid rushed for 700 yards, 600 yards, whatever it was. He's good. He's good. He is absolutely, without a doubt, the key to their offense. And we got to contain him. We got to get the ball out of his hand. Cannot let him run around. That's the key. And then we got to stay on receivers. If he does, we can't. What happens is receivers, they start breaking loose, and he finds them. And he's good. He's really good.
Does he? From the little bit of tape that I've watched, he's got a little bit of Brandon Bauer to him, a little bit of Johnny Davidson, a couple guys you've seen this year, guys that move around and extend plays and force everyone in your defense to be involved for the entirety of the play.
Yeah, he's exactly right. He's a little bit like this, Nico from Milliken a few years back, that just creates havoc for you, and no doubt. And then they run a lot of formations at you then too. They run a lot of formations, a lot of jet motion, counters off the jet. I mean, if you're not gap sound, you can get gashed on the run game too. So, the 7th ranked offense in the country for a reason.
How much of what they do is similar to how you prepare for North Central and just in the passing attack?
Yeah, well, it's a little different because the thing about Brock is he gets the ball, and in 1, 2, 3, he puts his back foot in the ground, and the ball's out. And there are a lot of the routes are precise. So the balls are being thrown to people they want at the time they want, rather than not necessarily on time and all over the place. It's a totally different guy, totally different animal to have to deal with. I think Brock obviously is a better idea of the passing game. His arm's better. He throws the ball on time better. But the other kid can hurt you with his legs, man. And Brock was not going to run around.
You're watching these guys on film. They've got an offensive line that looks like they like to go one-on-one and just kind of maul you a little bit, get a hat on a hat and get upfield. And that's really been their biggest success in the run game, is getting a big-bodied running back behind some one-on-one blocks. Yeah. Looking at that on film, that looks like something that should play into the strength of your defense.
Yeah, if you're going to pick and choose your poison, I'll take my odds there. Let's just put it that way. Our front four with our linebackers you're going to have to work hard to just straight up block these guys. And so I feel comfortable with that. The running back reminds me a little bit of the kid from Augie. Thicker kid, that could run downhill. It's not going to make you miss, but just a powerful kid. But, just getting back, Rusty, it's, for those fans that are going to be watching this game, we have got to contain number 3. If we don't, it's going to be a long afternoon.
When you look at them defensively, this is a defense that doesn't match the offensive standards. It's a defense that gives up a lot of points, but they've obviously got here, and they were able to shut out Oshkosh in the second half last week. What do you see when this defense is successful like they were last week? What are they doing well?
Well, they're going to make you – they don't want the ball thrown over their head. So they're going to play off your receivers. They're going to try to keep everything in front. They're going to make you drive the length of the field on not chunk plays, but on 5, 6, 3, 4, maybe a 10-yard play, and they're going to say you will self-destruct before you put the ball in the end zone. You will get a penalty. You'll turn the ball over. You'll get behind the chains, and we're going to just not give up big plays and tackle you and live for another day. And that's what happens sometimes. It's literally what happens. All of a sudden, you get a holding call and it's 1st and 20. You get a holding call on 3rd down, it's 3rd and 15 now. Or like I said, or you turn the ball over, or you drop a ball because you've had to put 5 or 6, 7 plays together. And so that's what they're counting on. And so they've given up some yards, but that's sort of their MO. They're not going to take any chances. They're just not.
When you look at what they had last week, they were down 31-7, biggest comeback in their program history. They come back and win that in overtime. What was the difference in that game? What was Oshkosh doing well early that gave them that early success, and what was Central able to do in the second half to turn the tide there?
Well, the kids started running all over the place. I mean, they couldn't contain the guy. They tried to spy him, and he created plays. The kid just created plays. He really did. And it was an athlete, doing things that you can't scheme. And they probably a little bit they got down a little bit, and they got down on a little bit of carelessness too. But he again, it's a kid that at any time he can just erupt. I'll just put it to you this way, Rusty. It's a 3-point shooter, and all of a sudden he gets hot. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? They just get hot, don't they? And sometimes they're not hot. When they're not hot, it's not working. But all of a sudden they get hot, and you draw up a scheme that's going to stop James Harden when he gets hot.
Well, that's something we watched down at King Arena here last year.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And sometimes he's cold, isn't he?
Yeah, that happens.
And so what was the scheme that, well, it wasn't anything. He just got cold.
Yeah.
I would say that's probably what happened. He got hot, and that was life.
Similar, I think, in a lot of ways, similar to what your team had when they made the run through Indiana to the semis a couple years back. Is there something quantifiable you can put for a team that just has it going? I mean, it feels like they had the big win in overtime against Wartburg. They get the overtime. It feels like this team's kind of got a special quality to it as they're winning these tight games. Is that something that you can quantify as you prepare for a team?
Yeah, well, you just know that they're going to come in with confidence. That's probably the thing, that they're not going to come in as a football team that's timid, or they're going to play because they're playing with some confidence. And now, 2 overtime games also can create a little fatigue and emotional stress on you. When we had that run going there, I mean, you're right. There was some confidence going, and we had a little mojo going. But the games weren't like they were really, really close games. And they were no overtime games. And these guys had to come back. They've been in some stressful situations. And so that sometimes can just create a little emotional fatigue as well. So it's going to be they're going to come in, confident group, 2 overtime games against 2 good teams, come back, win. We got it going. The stars are aligning right, and everything's going to be great. Or you could come in and see a team that's a little bit emotionally fatigued too.
When you watch the games around the country, obviously not being able to watch, but just looking at it, is there something to be said that you guys had the one lopsided score in the bracket, that you weren't out there fighting for 4 quarters, or even in the case of the West Coast game, 7 periods to get to the second round, that you guys were the only ones that really had a breather there, that as you move forward, that first game won't wear on you as much as it will the other teams?
Yeah, I mean, physically, you hope that just general wear and tear. Now, we had a couple of kids get banged up in it, but you're right, just play in and play out. I mean, our kids on defense probably played 35 plays, our starters. And so hopefully there's a little bit, you're exactly right, an emotional rest there in that second half.
What do you do differently this week as you prepare with a holiday in the middle of the week, and then kind of ramp it back up for a Saturday football game? Yeah, well, I mean, I think the only thing that we've really changed is just our schedule. And so we're practicing earlier on Wednesday to get the kids out a little bit, because we want to come back and get us a chance to work Wednesday night, because we want to come back and watch tape and practice and have it all done by 1 o'clock on Thanksgiving. So everyone gets out of here by about 2:30 on Thanksgiving, but we'll be here tonight, Wednesday night. We'll be here very, very late, because we got to be ready to roll in the morning without the day to prepare. Almost feels better when you've got football to prepare for over Thanksgiving. There you go, man. I'm not complaining. Trust me. Well, the question was asked, I'm answering it. Well, Coach, thanks for your time. We'll look forward to hopefully doing a couple more of these as we keep going. That'd be fun. Good afternoon and welcome to McCulley Stadium for a second-round playoff game. The Wheaton Thunder hosting the Central College Dutch. Thanks for tuning in here on WTSN. I'm Rusty Lindsay, joined in the booth by Dan Studebaker and Tim March as we count you down to kickoff between the third ever meeting between Wheaton and Central College. A couple of conference champions for the second straight week, but we start with last week. Wheaton handling its business 51-7 over Martin Luther College, a game they expected to win. They did. Central gets taken to the wire. More accurately, probably took Oshkosh to the wire, given that Oshkosh went up 31-7 on the last play of the first half. They come all the way back. They stop a two-point conversion in overtime. That's how we've got here. These are two teams that match up well, strength on strength. The Central offense against the Wheaton defense, both nationally premier units.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The Central team is a team that puts up 41.9 points a game. So they're going to be the best offense, certainly, that Wheaton has seen since North Central, who was the number one offense in the country. And this Wheaton defense has stood tall against all of their opponents so far, and I expect to see just a battle from start to finish today.
Yeah, this will be a good test for Wheaton today, as Central's offense is really quite impressive. They've got a very good quarterback, conference player of the year for them, moves around, makes plays all over the field. They've got a big, physical offensive line. They've got two great wide receivers. So this will be a good challenge for the Wheaton defense that really hasn't had to put four quarters together since September. So it'll be interesting to see how Wheaton comes out of the gates after a week off of no classes and just football and Thanksgiving.
Well, I think it's important, too, to talk a little bit about last week. You heard Coach Swider talk about in the Insider. You come away from that game, and we watched it, and it was 51-7, so completely dominant from start to finish. Wheaton, from the beginning, Martin Luther just really didn't have a chance to win that game, but it felt sloppy. You put the ball on the turf a couple of times, a couple of big turnovers. You gave up some yardage that you didn't expect to give up. And this is a team in Central that beat the WIAC champion in Oshkosh last week. I mean, that is a conference that sends teams deep into the playoffs every single year. So for Central, which is a storied playoff tradition of its own, for them to be able to get a big win like that in week one, which is a tough game, and then come into Wheaton coming off an opponent that really wasn't expected to do much, it's going to be a challenge today for Wheaton.
And I don't think Central's they're not going to be intimidated coming onto this field. I mean, they beat a very good Wartburg team who also won in their first round of the playoffs. So the American Rivers Conference has two playoff teams. So, two playoff teams that both won last week. So this is going to be a good game. Now, having said that, it's always tough in week two of the playoffs, and I don't think Wheaton is too upset with this matchup.
No, this is a Central team that I think their strength seems to be hard to quantify. It's that this is a team that's, for lack of a better term, living its best life, because they just they hold on, they blow a 49-14 lead against Wartburg.
Jeez.
They get they just power a 2-point conversion in to win in the first overtime. The overtimes in two of the last 3 weeks, they are really. It's this surging momentum as the season grows that it's hard to put a number on. It's hard to quantifiably prepare yourself for. This is a team that just has nothing to lose, and they're playing with a ton of energy and momentum coming into this game.
Well, I think what you'll see this week, and we were going back and forth between the four of us who do the broadcast here, is you look at if Wheaton comes out and does what they did against Washington University out of St. Louis, is if they come out and they really just put it on them quick, don't look back. Like, this is not a defense that's very likely to give up 40 points. I mean, they've surrendered 69 points in 11 games this year. It's just not very possible, if Wheaton plays its game, for a team like Central, as good as offense they are, to just hang a bunch of points on them.
Yeah, I think it's important for Wheaton to, like you said, Dan, not turn the ball over. Last week, the first drive of the game, there was an interception. Second drive was a fumble. Wheaton can't give this Central team short fields. They are good enough to put points up and beat you. So you've got to come out ready to play. Blaine Hawkins, just Conference Player of the Year for Central, just some gaudy stats. 234 of 350, completing over 66% of his passes for 3,000 yards, 42 touchdowns and 12 picks. On his career, he has 77 touchdown passes and 10 picks. He's only a junior. He's a very good player.
Well, those are numbers like what Wheaton's used to seeing down the road in the battle for the bell, but this is a much more mobile version of Brock Rutter than what you would see with Rutter himself. This is a closer comparison to probably Brandon Bauer and Johnny Davidson than it would be to Brock Rutter. And what Wheaton did well against those two is they kept him in the pocket. I think Hawkins has a little more slipperiness to him that's going to be a lot more on the defensive line to make sure that they're rushing together and not giving him pockets that he can get out and scramble and force you into coverage breakdowns.
Yeah. Well, you made the comparison early in the week, Rusty, about who this reminds us of is Andrew Bowers.
Yeah.
Right. He's a guy that, he's very mobile. He's very fast. I'm not sure Hawkins is as fast as Bowers was. I'm not sure he has the electricity in his athleticism, but he can get away from you. And if you let him run around in the backfield, he's going to find an open man. And these receivers are very good at following their quarterback and finding space.
Yeah, that was actually, watching some of the tape on him, that's exactly who I thought it was Bowers. And he does the same thing that, if you remember Andrew Bowers, he would move around, make something happen, and he would either take off and pick up a big first down, or he would let it loose, and it'd be a big play for a touchdown. Central's got a lot of big play touchdowns after Hawkins moves around and makes something happen with his feet.
Well, and their big play ability starts on the outside with Eric Kanak, the second-team all-conference receiver this year. He's got over 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns. They've got a two-headed monster with him and Hunter Robinson, each with 14 touchdowns. So these are receivers that are well-versed in that scramble drill, that they know when that quarterback is going to peel out where they need to go. And there's something to be said about running that rep with the same guy over and over for 3 months, 4 months into a season, and then having a week to just prepare for it. Similar to what Wheaton had last week with the option offense. Yeah. It's different when you're playing a team that does it every week to when you just have a couple of days to rep it again with a scout team.
Well, and just drawing comparison once again, I mean, you look at Kanak and you look at Robinson, and then you look on the other side for Wheaton. That's basically two Philip Nichols. Two guys that are about 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. And the thing that Phil Nichols is so good at, and the two guys from Central are great at, is they just continue to find ways through coverage, right? They run very tight routes. They're crisp. They're at the point when they need to be. But when things start to break down, they don't stop. They continue to look for openings, and that's where Hawkins can find them deep and find them in holes for touchdowns.
You look on the defensive side of the ball for Central, this is where their biggest test will lie. They have yet to see an offensive line as big as Wheaton's, but they're going to run a 3-4 base when they're going to walk down an outside linebacker in Hunter Matty. He's going to have his hand in the dirt more than he's going to be step back away from the line. But this is a Central unit that does not rank among the best statistically, even within their conference. So this is going to be an uphill battle for Central to hold the line of scrimmage, to limit the Wheaton run game, especially with the conditions today. It's ripe for Wheaton to turn around and hand the ball off 30, 35 times today.
Yeah, and when the first thing I thought when I looked at this is, wow, these guys are undersized. But in the past, we've seen Wheaton struggle from time to time with undersized defenses. If you remember WashU from last year, they had an undersized defensive line that really caused problems for Wheaton. But just looking across the linebacking core in the secondary, they have some guys that they're not very big. You'd like to see Wheaton come out and be a bully today, just be physical. And be aggressive and play within yourself and really take it to a smaller Central D.
Well, when you look on, Rusty, you mentioned strength on strength, right? This is a very, very good Central offense against an elite defense for Wheaton, right? Central gives up 405 yards per game and averages 28.7 points against, whereas Wheaton defensively only allows about 180. So significantly less than half of what Central gives up a game. So this Wheaton offense is very capable, highly rated in the country, where the Central defense just doesn't have those statistics. It looks like a team that's ripe to be picked on, and they have been a couple of times. Yeah, they put up a lot of yards and give up a lot of yards.
Yep. One thing I think Wheaton's done a better job of late that was really an Achilles heel for him earlier in the season was penalties. And we've seen the last few games that Wheaton's been better on that front. Last week they only had 3. I think the week before that they only had 5. They still have 86 penalties in 11 games. So they're still a pretty penalized team, but we're trending in the right direction. So you'd like to see a crisp effort from all phases today.
Yeah, I think the concerning thing about Wheaton only having 3 penalties last week was somehow you had a playoff game where Martin Luther got called for no penalties.
Yeah.
And we sat up here and watched the replays, and there was a hold on. Dallas McCray was getting bear hugged almost every play. So I think there's some anomaly with that, but Wheaton has also, like you mentioned, they've done a better job of cutting this down. The penalty yardage at Carroll was excessive, but that was because there was a 61-yard holding penalty on a kickoff return that covered almost over half the yardage of that game. But it's going to be important to continue to stay disciplined. As your competition competition amps up, and Central will certainly be a big step up from Martin Luther, you got to continue that discipline to not put yourself behind the chains and not give them free plays.
Well, and the thing that's been so frustrating over the last several years now for Wheaton is not necessarily like the technical violations that they get, right? It's the post-snap, post-play, unsportsmanlike personal foul type stuff that you just haven't seen. You haven't seen that stuff. And last week, as you mentioned, like there is some bias that comes into it. I mean, these referees know what a mismatch the game is, and they're swallowing their whistles. You'd rather see it that way in a game like that than penalty after penalty after penalty.
Sure. Because
it just slows the game down. And, I mean, the outcome was pretty well determined, from the first score. Not to say anything about Martin Luther. They knew what they had, but Wheaton was just clearly overpowering them, and they wanted to get the game done with. But, again, Rusty, as you mentioned, and Tim, Wheaton has played clean, and that's what you need to do. You can't give up yards, especially when you have an elite defense that only gives up 180 yards a game. You just don't want to give it back. You don't want to have 110 yards of penalties, 150 yards of penalties as we've had this season and in seasons past.
I think one thing that, just as a Wheaton fan, that I'm excited for today is just to watch the whole team play. You haven't had very many games where Wheaton's had to play 4 quarters. I mean, I can't think of one where the starters have had to play into the 4th quarter since the North Central game, which is 9 weeks ago. So it'll be fun to see how this team comes out and plays for 4 quarters.
Right now we will send things to the field for the singing of the national anthem. Michael Mendez singing the anthem today.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
No.
Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Michael Mendez, a sophomore from Glendale Heights, Illinois, singing the anthem today as we will get set now for the coin flip at the center of the field. The Wheaton captains making their way out to meet the Central captains. As some things we'll be keeping an eye on. Certainly other games around the country will certainly be keeping an eye as this one gets later in the game and St. John starts on the West Coast against Chapman, as we had some great games in the rest of the Wheaton bracket last weekend. The Wheaton game, really the one game that didn't come down to the wire, as St. John's and Aurora had a classic up in Collegeville. And then Chapman and Linfield decided to go 3 overtimes to decide that one in a terrific game out in Orange County. So St. John's will go out to Chapman. The winner of this game will get the winner of that one in the quarterfinals. But the one we're really going to have our eye on, North Central's up 28-23 in the middle of the second quarter out at Mount Union. And that was really going to be the marquee game of the second round anyhow. But North Central has been up to the task against the machine so far today.
Yeah, that is not a incorrect score. 28-23 with 7 minutes and 40 seconds in the second quarter. Just up and down the field for both teams. Tons of offense so far.
Yeah, no defense.
So Central, it appears, has won the toss.
Central won the toss. They defer.
We apologize for that. Central wins the toss. They defer to the second half. Wheaton will take the football and will go on offense first. A quick look at the Central defense before we get going. Again, their defensive linemen across the front: Matt Glockel, Tom Adolph, Blade Durbala, the first team All-ARC defensive end. Alt-conference linebackers Tate O'Toole and Connor Lewin.
outside, and then Drew Smith in the inside with Lewin and Hunter Matty. We mentioned the outside linebacker who will be with his hand in the dirt for much of the game. Danny Anderson and Trey Wildridge, the third, the two corners. Jordy Borman and Braden Egley, the second-team all-conference safety, will be the backfield for Central as they will take the field first for the Dutch. Wheaton wearing the orange jerseys, the white bottoms. Central in all white. The white tops, the white bottoms, the red numbers.
Second favorite uni combination for me for Wheaton here. I love the orange top, white bottoms. White on white is the best, though. So
I like the decision for Wheaton to take the football here. You know, after the deferral to the second half, I like seeing them take the ball because they're just going to want to come down, impose their will, put scores on the point, and then put this game on the back of their defense, who has not surrendered a lot of points, but will have a task that's bigger than they've had since the North Central game, certainly, and maybe all year. I mean, this Central team puts up points on anybody.
Wheaton will also get the wind at its back in the second and fourth quarters. So almost a little bit of the best of both worlds. You put your better matchup unit out there first, a chance to score first, and you get the wind in the two quarters to end halves. John Albert is one of the better kickers you're going to find in Division III. He's a three-time first-team all-conference kicker out of Huntley, Illinois, a local product. 19 touchbacks, and you would assume with his distance, when the wind at his back, going to be gusting between 15 and 20 miles an hour today. Right now we are without wind. We do expect more to be coming in pretty soon. And we are underway here in the second round of the NCAA playoffs. This is going to be Matthew Tucker with a fair catch at the 7-yard line. Nice job by Alberts hanging that into the corner. And we haven't seen Wheaton use the fair catch very often, but the freshman with the presence of mind to take advantage of that rule, and Wheaton will start from the 25.
yeah, I think that was a coaching decision. I think they just straight up told him to fair catch that ball as he was running out onto the field.
So Luke Anthony and company take the field for the first time to open this game. TJ Williams on his right hip, and TJ's looked a little better each week, recovering from that ankle injury. He sets up in the backfield. Stone Watson, the H-back to the left side of the line. Outside Gabe McGill as Wheaton moves their offensive linemen around a little bit. This is going to be TJ on the counter behind Stone Watson. He's going to bounce it to the outside 35, and they're going to grab the ankle before he can really get to the edge. He's going to roll forward for about the 28-yard line.
A good patient run by TJ there. Made a couple cuts before the Central defense really strung him out. Nice job by 33, Tate O'Toole there to bounce it out and finish off the play.
So with Gabe McGill moving from right guard to left tackle, Wyatt Southall moves in at right guard as Wheaton shuffles that line. Joey Paulino a little injured during practice this week. Anthony off the play fake all day to throw, and now he's going to take off, gets hit in the backfield, gets back to the line of scrimmage, and gets another yard to the 30. So it'll be 3rd and 5 as the Central defense up to the task early here.
Maybe made the wrong read right there, but
yeah, wide open read, and it just took a little bit too long, right? If you're gonna do the run pass option there, you need to make that decision more quickly, or you're gonna have people barreling down on you before you can set up for a pass.
So an early 3rd down here, especially with Wheaton going into the wind. Going to be a challenge for either team kicking right to left today. Motion across the formation from Philip Nichols. Anthony back to pass. Well protected, rolling to his right into a scramble drill. Makes the guy miss. He's pushing forward and he stretches. This is going to depend on the mark, but I think he got it. He just needed to touch the 35-yard line, and he does. What a scramble from Luke Anthony.
We'll see here on this replay here. That's a great job by him to get out of the pocket and make a play with his feet. I'm interested to see if his knee came down slightly before he was able to reach over, but
yeah, that's
close.
Pretty close.
Good spot there by the ref.
Yeah, hard. And it's just the nose of the football, resting up against the 35-yard line, and that is all you need. So 1st and 10 for the Thunder as they settle in here. Trips to the left side for Anthony under center. He will feed T.J. Williams. Williams with a big hole, piling through tacklers, and he will be just shy of another first down, an 8-yard run. But that's good to see T.J. take the ball, lower the head, and deliver a hit.
You see on the replay here, you're going to see a really nice block by number 5, Carson Lean, and then another one by Jake Hibben to come in. The big man moving into the secondary, laying a pop and giving TJ some breathing room to get 8 yards.
Jordy Borman gets the receiving end of the hit, but it is interesting to note the starting strong safety playing with a club on that right hand. And that thing is a club. So it'll be 2nd and 2 from the 43, just over 2 minutes in. 3 wide receivers give to Stone. Watson running to the right side, has the first down, cuts upfield 50, 45, 40. One man to beat. Stone Watson with a big play, and Wheaton is on the board to start things today.
You know, that is just a great run. Stone has looked better and better each week this year, and that is a huge, huge run to get Wheaton on the board.
I totally agree. And he's always been great in space, but you've started to see him as the weeks have gone on. He trusts himself more in traffic, and that was a great read on the block to cut back inside and then just burst. And he ran with power there. He ran with speed and put points on the board very quickly for Wheaton. And that's exactly what we're talking about. Just impose your will early, put points on the board quickly after a couple of stalled out plays. But there it is, 7-0 Wheaton with the extra point good.
Griffin Bowes adds the extra point. And Stone Watson will see it again here on the replay. This is going to be a nice seal block by Jake Hibben, getting to the second, almost to the third level here, and opening up the inside. And then it's one man and Jack Miller getting way downfield, the tight end just running interference to break that thing loose for Stone Watson.
One thing that we discussed while we were looking at some of the Central film from this week was the ability of Central's opponents to really get after the front seven. And a lot of times you saw the line of scrimmage being established 4 yards downfield, where the defensive line was just getting blown off the ball. I think we're going to see a lot of that today, just coming right at the Central defensive line, pushing them off the ball.
Jesse Scott's got the running game going early, and that's a great thing to see, because Wheaton has struggled with the efficiency of the run game for the last few weeks, ever really since TJ had that ankle injury against Augustana. The big plays haven't been there in the running game, and it seemed to be maybe 3 to 4 yards, and then you'd need to throw for the third down conversions. But if you can get the chunk plays on the ground again, this offense becomes pretty hard to stop. So Bowes to kick this thing into the wind. High end over end. The receiver is going to come all the way up to the 19-yard line, but the coverage unit is on it right away, and it's Ben Locos with a terrific hit. That's a 1-yard recovery on the return, and they will start at the 20. Ben Locos streaking down the field.
What a slider special right there.
Man. Excuse me, that is not Ben Locos. That's Kyle Carter, the freshman running back. Locos 27, Carter 29. These two running backs, Jack Allen and Kyle Carter, have been impressive seeing early time for a freshman running back, and Carter getting involved in the coverage unit as well. So now we will see the American Rivers Conference Player of the Year for the first time today out of the shotgun. 1st and 10 from the 24 wide receivers. And the wind at his back as they check with the sideline for this first play. This is a fast break Central offense. Jet motion, they will play fake off. Sits in the pocket, goes up to wide open receiver. That's the running back, Jason Hopp, who makes the catch and steps out of bounds at the 35-yard line.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of they get their running backs involved in the flat, up the rail. That was good patience by the Central offense there.
Wyatt Lee looks like the breakdown in coverage as he's running to replace there. The tight end, Ross Nora, motions right to left on 1st and 10. Hawkins looking to the left side. Quick hitter to the tight end, and he's covered immediately as he slides down to make the catch. Nice play by Spencer Rowland breaking off his route.
Well, in this Central team, through the first 2 plays, you notice that they know what the strength of Wheaton's defense is, and that's those 4 interior linemen. You're seeing double teams on the 2 tackles and getting the ball out quickly.
And there's Caden Sigler.
Looking for the tunnel, and Caden Sigler fills it up and jams him back for a 1-yard gain, maybe. But what a hit.
Hunter Robinson, the receiver there.
He has been his improvement as the year has gone on. I mean, that was a position that we wondered, can he fill in for big brother Tyler? And he's done a great job from the safety position. Just a physical athlete.
So now Central with an early 3rd down. Looks like Wheaton's going 3 over the top. They motion Hop out of the backfield. Gamich is going to run all the way to the outside with him. Wheaton's bringing pressure. Hawkins in the pocket. Steps up and down he goes. Back at the 35-yard line. They brought pressure and it got home with Wyatt Lee.
Love to see this Wheaton team fired up. I got to imagine that this front for Wheaton is happy to get back into a more traditional game here where they get to put their hand in the ground and go after the quarterback, not have to play this shotgun option team.
Jake Suget was beat by Lee on that pressure, and talking to Coach Swider after the insider, he likes what they have with Ryan Schwartz, and it's great to see Schwartz available this week, that they can run spy with him, and when they need to bring pressure, have someone who can get home quickly like Wyatt Lee. Wobbly snap, pressure coming, and they're going to tackle the punter before he can get it off. Michael Gale got there and forced him to step up. The snap was slow getting back there, and I think it was Nate Gers who cleaned it up. Monumental mistake for Central to start this game. And Wheaton can really put the Dutch in a bind right out of the gates here.
Yeah, this is the kind of start that you were envisioning if you're a Wheaton fan.
And you've had success with the run game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jesse take a quick shot on first down here. They go with trips to the left side. Carson Lean in between Adam Torini and Philip Nichols. 2 high safeties for Central. 4 down linemen with a linebacker walked over the top. They will instead feed TJ Williams. Straight ahead, has a hole, lowers his head, and buries himself down to the 20-yard line. A 5-yard first down run.
Now, just on a couple carries for TJ so far, you're noticing he's got that oomph back in his step, right? You know, the patient run when he got hit for a yard, but then on that one, you just see his ability to break into the line of scrimmage and chew up 7 yards. I mean, that's the TJ that we've come to know and expect from number 32.
Little different look from Central here. They're playing linebacker over, so it's almost like a 5-man front with the corner walked way down outside. TJ again on a stretch. Great block from Nichols. Trying to get to the outside, cuts back inside, going to be close to a first down. He's going to have it by a yard or so, down to the 15-yard line. Keeping an eye on that North Central game. Mount Union has rattled off 11 unanswered to take a 31-28 lead, taking advantage of just the 3rd interception of the year for Brock Rudder. 1st and 10 from the 15. We're just 5 minutes in, and Wheaton trying to put itself up 2 scores early on the Central College Dutch. These two teams haven't faced each other since 1940, but the Dutch have won both the matchups prior to today. Long read, going to Nichols on a slant. He makes the catch and dives into the end zone. Did his knee come down at the 1?
I think he came down at the 1.
It did. That kind of bounced over the goal line. They're not going to give it to him. So it'll be 1st and goal at the 1-yard line for Philip Nichols.
And he's disappointed in himself. I mean, it was a great play. Nice downward spiral by Luke Anthony to put it in the zone, but both knees went down before the line.
The ball's ruled short of the goal.
That's a good call. Good call. And
first down.
Nichols was lucky because he kind of shortly motioned out a step or two pre-snap, and Wheaton snapped it pretty tight to that motion. Luckily, he was set just in time for the snap. So 1st and goal at the 1. Single back, Burt McJunkin as the H-back to the left side. 2 wide receivers. Pitch sweep to McJunkin. McJunkin go lower his head and get back to the line of scrimmage.
It's a Jesse special right there. They were ready for it.
Well scouted there for Central. They showed that look at Elmhurst.
I've really enjoyed, though, this drive. Jesse's committed to the 2 tight end package here. We start out with 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end. Now they've gone to 2 tight ends, really coming right at the Central team. Here you go again.
2nd and goal from the 1. Double tight look. 2 wide receivers split out to the right side. They will give on a delayed handoff to TJ Williams. Rolls over the tackle. And he is into the end zone for a touchdown, Thunder.
Yeah, you could almost, we almost made the call. You expect that play to come. I mean, it's just, that's the Jesse special, as you call it, with that tight end action on the end around. But this is where I like to see on that second play there, just line up your dogs and let them go at Central, you know. You've clearly stated so far through the first 6 minutes of this game that they're overpowering them. It's time to just continue to do that.
Good snap, good hold, and Wheaton off to a quick 2-score advantage after the special teams mistake leaves Wheaton with a short field.
That's a nice job by TJ there, really. I mean, the great play by 85 Matt Glockle to get off a block and hit TJ in the backfield, or at least at the line of scrimmage, but he was able to spin off and fall into the end zone for a touchdown.
And you can't ask for a better start here if you're the Thunder. We talked about needing to get off to a quick start because they haven't the last couple of weeks. They've been slow to start at Carroll, against Carthage, down pretty much all of their last 3 or 4 regular season games, even the Augustana game, and a little bit of slow start with only 10 points in the first quarter last week. But 14 quick ones in less than 6 minutes. And they now have the Dutch on the heels of their wooden shoes here in the first quarter.
I mean, you have to. There's too much game left. You know, it's only 14-0, and the Central team has proven they have the capability of coming back. They did so against Oshkosh. I mean, you have to, in the playoffs, with a team that's capable of moving the ball down the field as Central is, with a quarterback as talented as he is, you have to bury him. You just have to continue to go and go and go until the game is finally done.
Yeah, and you know, this is 14-0 with Wheaton throwing 1 pass. So
yeah,
it's going according to plan for Wheaton. Stick with it.
Fellas, I don't know if there's anything Brock Rudder can't do. He just unleashed about a 60-yard punt.
No way.
They lined up on 4th and 6 and ran the quarterback punt. And he pins Mount Union at their own 5.
Maybe he should have been first team all-conference to Johnny Davidson.
High kick going to be taken at the 11-yard line, out across the 20-25 with a seam up the sideline and a shoestring tackle made. That's Jalen Schaefer, the freshman, makes the tackle, but we've got an injury back at the 22, but good field position on a very good return up the sideline for Connor Lewin, and it shows you the athleticism the linebacker has when you put him back there on returns.
Great job by the Central return there to get a hat on a hat, find a seam. Something that Wheaton's been pretty good at this year is covering kicks, and that was they found a little bit of a crack there.
Yeah, Wheaton, one of the better kickoff coverage units in the country. Really, their kickoff units together, the best in the country. They're number 1 in the nation in kickoff return average, and they're 9th in the nation in kickoff coverage average.
Man.
Allowing less than 14 yards a return and returning over 30 per return. So Central will start at their own 40, chasing 2 scores on just their second touch of the ball here. And injured Dutch able to get off the sideline under his own power. So it'll be Hawkins out of an empty backfield, with Hop lined up in the slot right. Tight end tight to the left side of the line, and now Jason Hop comes in motion. Play fake, and he will take the ball, and Schwartz misses a tackle chasing him down from behind, and he will be ushered into the sideline by Corey Kennedy for a 4-yard gain. And Jason Hop's a big dude. He's 6 foot 225 and packs a punch coming downhill.
Almost a very nice play by Ryan Schwartz there, coming downhill, not quite able to get to the knee where you really need to get a big dude like that down, but really nice play to come downhill.
Quickly to the line, jet motion again, and a flag comes down, and a false start. They had 2 men in motion. That was going to be a little pitch pass to Eric Canuck.
False start, offense number 70. 5-yard penalty, it is second down.
That's the right tackle, Travis Wagner. Our officiating crew today from the Heartland Conference, led by the referee Tom Burns. So 2nd and 11, back to the 39-yard line. 3 wide receivers here as the tight end motions left to right. Hawkins with Hop on his right hip. Snap back, play fake off of Hop, rolling to his right. All day to throw, going across the middle, man-to-man coverage, and that is complete to Robinson, who gets inside of Rowland, and a big play down to the 26-yard line.
With a little something to him say after. That's a nice ball by Hawkins. That's really hard for a corner on the far side of the field. You have to carry a post all the way to the other sideline. That's something you're going to end up giving up.
And now they give to Robinson on the jet sweep, and he's going to be brought down quickly by Wyatt Lee. Loss of a yard on the play.
What a play. You can just shoot the gap and make a big hit, stuff him for no gain.
And that's going to be a tough play for them to run to the short side of the field against Wheaton's team speed defensively.
Here you see them trying to go up-tempo, neutralize that Wheaton pass rush. We've seen him double-team Dallas on pretty much every play, move the pocket a little bit.
2nd and 11 at the 27. Quickly to the outside. Completed to Canuck, and Canuck going to be pushed out of bounds on a nice one-on-one play by Corey Kennedy. So it'll be 3rd and 6 here for the Dutch. And again, Albert's a terrific weapon in the kicking game. He's 11 of 12 in his field goal attempts. He's 3 for 3 from 40+. From right here, it would be 40 yards with the wind at his back.
Well, Tim, just a little further with what you were saying, neutralizing this front 4. Central is allowing Wheaton's penetration to go where they want to go, basically, and just keep pushing that way. So on the last play, Holiday got pushed 2 yards past the point of attack because the guy just let him go.
High snap. Hawkins brings it down, looks over the middle, pocket collapsing in front of him, and he's hit as he throws, and he can't quite step into it enough to deliver that ball to Canuck across the middle. And here comes John Alberts and that field goal unit for Central. Well protected, but they just couldn't hold it quite long enough. Had a man open in the middle of the zone in Canuck, and just that contact around his legs didn't allow him to step into the throw enough.
Solid job by the Central offensive line so far, though. They've done a good job protecting him. That's plenty of time right there to find an open wide receiver. Really, I actually thought he could have pulled that down and maybe tried to pick it up with his feet.
So Albert's the kicker from 40 yards, right hash. It comes blocked at the line of scrimmage. It came out flat, and Wheaton had to get a hand on it because the rotation changed immediately.
Yep. That was quick in. They were on the snap count and perfectly timed dive. got just enough of it.
Can't quite see who that is. I think that's Wyatt Southall who got the fingertip to it. Just the second missed field goal of the year for John Alberts, and only the 5th of his career in 38 attempts.
Impressive.
And so far the special teams have been a letdown for Central.
Here you go again with Wheaton with the big package.
Single high safety for Central. Central showing pressure as McJunkin Z motions to the right side. Give is to TJ Williams, lowers his head, gets what he can. Brought down just shy of the 35-yard line. A nice tackle by Blade Durbala.
Great play by Central there to get TJ down for about a 1.5 yard gain. But, I really like what we're seeing from Wheaton's offense, bringing in this power package, saying, hey, we know we can run the football on this team. Just let's keep doing it. Keep doing it. There's no, we talk about the need to get cute. There is no need for that so far in this game, and they're just going to line it up and go at them.
2nd and 9 from the 24. They walk Connor Lewin down into the line. He backs off. Give again to TJ Williams. Big hole off the left edge. Out across to 30, and he's going to be close to a first down depending on where he stepped out of bounds.
Great job by Gabe McGill there to pull. Coming across. Oh, actually, that's
Hibben.
That's Hibben, yeah.
Nice cut
in
block.
the cut.
And that's going to be right at the sticks and give him a first down. But
Hibben with the old Nick Biggie special to start it off. It started in about 2008 or 2009 with Nick. Just see that center pull. You just don't see it a lot from offenses, but
great job.
It's become a staple of the Wheaton offense for sure. 1st and 10 out to the 33.
There he goes again.
TJ Williams behind Hibben. TJ Williams out across the 40. And this is a version of TJ Williams we haven't seen for almost a month as he gets 6-7 yards there on first down.
I'm totally comfortable to say that TJ is back. I mean, you
That's
can
a
just
great
see
block
that
by
cut.
Clay Wagner.
He gets that speed going forward and chews up 7-8 yards.
Great block by Clay Wagner to set that edge. And McGill's a guy who had some experience at tackle last year. So Wheaton's very comfortable with him playing on the blind side of the quarterback. And Wyatt Southall, only a sophomore, but a guy they like a lot at 6'1", 285 out of Versailles, Kentucky. 2nd and short. Give to Stone Watson on the misdirection. Watson spins off a contact, and he's got a first down out to the 45. And that'll move the chains again. So this run game has really taken the reins of the offense for the Thunder. As they line up 1st and 10. Twins left, split right. Play fake off of TJ. Double move for Nichols. He's got his man beat. He's wide open. He makes the catch at the 22. Makes the first guy miss. Now it's a race to the goal line. 5.
He's going to get it.
He's going to get there. Touchdown, Thunder.
Not to be denied that time as he just about, as if we see on the replay here, he just about had his knee down on the 1 yard line again. But was not going to be denied.
And at night, Luke Anthony has been very impressive on the deep ball this year. I mean, Nichols torched him on the move, but that's one where sometimes you see an over-anxious quarterback throw the ball too far or throw it out of bounds. He gave Nichols an easy pitch and catch. Great second effort to get in the end zone.
I think the good news is you can throw a touch out the window when you're throwing into the wind. He's just taking the ball and throwing it as far as he can.
That's probably right, Rusty.
Into the wind today because it is gusting into his face, and that's why you saw Nichols have to stop and wait for the ball to get there. But a 21-0 lead for the Thunder. They've had the ball 3 times, and they've punched it in all 3. And the Dutch of Central trying to find their bearings here in the second round.
Watch this on the replay as you see Nichols make a great move to come back inside. Chase starts to catch up with him, and then right here, his knee goes down on like the 6-inch line, but had the ball over the line of scrimmage. But that would have been an absolute shame if for the second time he makes a great catch and doesn't get to the end zone, but he does. And Wheaton's up 21-0 with 5:36 left in the first quarter. So, again, you just have to continue running your offense like that and rely on the defense to keep points off the board. But this is a team, again, that is capable of putting yardage and putting points on the board if you let them have life left.
Yes.
You have to put them down.
Well, and you got to remember, this is a team that just came back from 31-7 last week. There is no quit in this Central team.
Oh, and you know that Swider's going to keep pounding that one. That this team is not going to go away. They're going to keep playing. They got a good offense that can put points on the board. There's 5 minutes left in the first quarter. There's a lot of game left.
I think the scary thing for Central is all of this offense comes with Wheaton going into the wind. As Bose tees this one up, drives this one high end over end, rushing up to make the catch at the 19. And again, it's Kyle Carter. Delivers the punch at the 22.
got to think that you're going to maybe start to see some fair catches on this. That's one thing that Bose does very well on kickoffs is he puts the ball high up in the air, giving his team a lot of hang time, letting his coverage unit get down to make a play.
For those of you scoring at home, Luke Anthony's quarterback rating is 554 right now. He's 2 for 2 with 69 yards and a touchdown. Wayne Hawkins 5 of 6 for 58 as Central comes out for the third time today. 1st and 10 at their own 22-yard line. Hop in motion to the left side. Trip set that way. Hawkins with a pump fake goes across middle. Picked off by Ryan Schwartz. Man. Schwartz out of the tackle. Now he's back up to right where he caught the ball at the 35. And just the 13th interception of the year for Hawkins. But that's the athlete in Schwartz. You're going to have that play more often than not. But the athleticism of Ryan Schwartz to drop in to that Tampa 2 look and just sit right in the middle of the field and pick that ball off.
Yeah, that was a nice job by Schwartz to sink back there. You wonder if Hawkins was trying to force it a little bit, not taking what the defense is giving him, but he had plenty of time. Just tried to force it in there.
1st and 10 at the Central 34. They take over well into Central territory for the second time in already 4 possessions.
And you wonder here if you see Coach Jesse Scott take a shot after a big turnover. Your offense is rolling. Go right at the end zone again with the 2 speedsters.
And you're in 4-down territory, so.
Play fake, he is
looking
Nichols deep.
Is wide.
He's got Burt McJunkin wide open, makes the catch at the 10. McJunkin, touchdown Thunder! Burt McJunkin, the grad transfer from Texas A&M. Hadn't played football in 7 years before he walked onto the team this year, and he makes the touchdown to put Wheaton up 27-0 with 5:12 left in the first quarter.
And it's absolutely fantastic to see Burt McJunkin get a touchdown there. But if you get a chance to see the replay here, Phil Nichols has nobody within 5 yards of him on a post, and was also wide open, holding his hands up in the air, calling touchdown for McJunkin.
Bose adds the extra point, and this is an absolute shellacking in the opening, not even 10 minutes. And like well said, Tim, this is an avalanche against Central. Wobbly throw, but he gets enough on it. Breaks a tackle at the 3 and stretches to the pylon.
Great play.
And again, that's probably one. Jordy Borman's the guy chasing him. He's the guy who misses the tackle at the 3. He's only got one hand to make that tackle. You would think with 2 he'd have enough without the club to grab that hip and stop him, but able to break out.
Rusty, give us an update on the QBR for Luke Anthony.
608.4. For those keeping an eye on that game out in Alliance, North Central led 28-20 in the middle of the second quarter. It's now 38-28 Mount Union. You just can't give them an opening. And they don't have an answer for the outstanding wideout Justin Hill. 5 catches, 201 yards in the first half. D'Angelo Fulford, 15 of 17 for 368 first half yards. They've also run the ball for 92 yards.
So what happens when you play Mount? You give up 460 yards in the first half. Incredible.
Against the defense that was, to conclude the regular season, was number 11 in the country.
Yeah. High kick taken at the 20. A nice stick by Nate Gers there. This coverage unit is all over it. Connor Lewin just had to lower the shoulder and get what he could, but Nate Gers was right there to close the door at the 28-yard line, and Central's looking around wondering what happened.
Well, on that kickoff, Griffin Bose, we've always talked about the hang time that he gets on the power behind his leg. And when you give these guys who are all athletes on Wheaton's kickoff coverage, you give them time to run down under the ball, you're not going to have a whole lot of opportunity to get a return.
Other halftime scores out east. Del Val leads Wesley 17-3. Muhlenberg over Brockport 28-0. And Salisbury 42-28 over Union. Give straight ahead. Nope, this is the pass to the outside for Canuck, and Canuck's going to get a gain of 8 as he's pushed into the sideline by Schwartz. Great play fake by Hawkins. Had everybody fooled that he had given it straight ahead to Hop.
Yeah, I think that's just something that we're going to see on this drive here. If I'm Central, I gotta settle down a little bit. I got to try to run the ball, try to get a couple first downs here, give our defense a little bit of time to figure out what's going on.
2nd and 2 at the 36-yard line. They motion 2 guys now in the backfield left of the quarterback. And this is a student body left pitch sweep, and Wheaton's all over it. Wheaton all over it. Pitch sweep was to Cameron Bannister, who's the backup quarterback as well. So there might be a wrinkle in that formation for Central, but Wyatt Lee right there in his face.
You know, at 28-0, you're already significantly behind. This is a really important series for Central to probably try to put some points on the board. Their offense has to stay on the field, and for Wheaton, you make the statement of the game here by getting them off the field, 3 and out.
3rd and 5 back to the 33.
Here comes
Pressure
Pac.
comes.
There we go.
Ball's out. O'Connell knocks it out, and I think Hawks. Oh, it's still loose. And I think Holliday's got it all the way back at the 18-yard line. Pat O'Connell came screaming off the edge. And it looks like Dallas McCray, the CCIW Defensive Player of the Year, picks it up back at the 18-yard line.
He's the one that caused it, for sure. Or no,
O'Connell.
Pat O'Connell.
And then it gets knocked out. Nobody really sees the ball down. Hawkins is trying to bring it back in, and it is McCray.
He does get it.
McCray saw points ahead of him, but couldn't quite get the takeoff.
I mean, that's like the first nail in the coffin right there. You know, you have to keep your offense on the field if you're Central to try to prove that you can move the football, but then you turn the ball over deep in your own territory.
Central brings pressure. Anthony on the play fake. Over the middle. Nichols is open and never saw. I think that was Danny Anderson. He never saw him, and he gets in
Lucky
there.
to not get picked,
and if his eyes are in the backfield, that's an interception. But he had Nichols in his crosshairs and makes the hit instead of the catch.
Nice job being patient by Luke, but maybe just a little bit too long. Waited a half second too long to try to float that over the first linebackers.
And that brings his QBR down to 450.
Costly.
So it'll be 2nd and 10 from the 18-yard line. Anthony 3 of 4 now for 103 and 2 touchdowns. Stretch to the left side for TJ Williams, patiently running behind Hibben. TJ going to run out of room. Probably just needed to find the seam and stick his head up there. Matt Glockel gets the tackle as he stretched this one out very well, taking on both McGill and then Hibben, and then getting the tackle.
Nice job by the Central defense there to stretch it out.
So Wheaton in 3rd and long for the first time, and Matthew Tucker comes onto the field, and he will go slotted between Nichols and Carson Lean to the high side. Torini split left, Stone Watson in the backfield with Luke Anthony. Wheaton's only their second third down of the game. Across the middle on a slant to Nichols. Completed, spins off a tackle. Nichols into the end zone.
That's
touchdown
crazy.
Thunder.
Oh, I mean, he looked like he was absolutely done on the first contact, but he dips underneath the tackle and somehow keeps his feet and into the end zone again. I mean, the guy is just unbelievably efficient when he has the ball. 5 TDs in the playoffs so far for Phil Nichols.
Nichols with 3 straight multi-touchdown games now. So Bowes for the extra point. Good snap, good hold. And Bowes drills this one through. As you'll see it again here on the replay. Dan, you called it well. It was open and Wheaton looked to have the first down, but then Phil Nichols in the never say die attitude just spins off 2 tacklers and wins the race to the end zone, riding the back of Braden Egley across the goal line.
This is quickly turning into, okay, let's get out of here without any injuries.
Well, it feels exactly like the WashU game. You know, it's 35-0 with 12 minutes off the clock in the game so far, and that's pretty much what WashU was like. And that's what you have to do with teams that have capable offenses that are well coached with good quarterbacks, talented skill players. I mean, you just have to put them down as quickly as you can, and Wheaton's done that so far. Now you just have to finish. And it's a long game to finish.
And we talked during the week as well about the similarities between these two offenses. Fast break offense, get to the line, run the next play, and that's exactly what WashU did, feeding right into the game flow, in that they just kept speeding the offense up, and it just snowballed. And like you mentioned earlier, Tim, it's just been an avalanche against Central here in the first quarter. When you start to think, if you're Central, if you're coaches, if you're on that offense, what do you do? You know, you're down 35-0. How do you get back in this game? Well, you were down 31-7 last week. You tell your team, hey, we've done this before. We're okay.
There's the fair catch.
Fair catch made at the 21-yard line, so they'll get pick up 4. But Lewin has struggled to get 4 on those returns.
Well, to put it into some context, right, when you think about what do you do if you're coaching Central right now? You are 5 scores behind, 5 touchdowns with extra points behind. It's very, very difficult to think of a way that they can come back into this game. Unless they do it, they have to score on every drive from here on out.
Yep. Just don't see the defense giving up half of their season points in a game. in 3 quarters.
1st and 10 from the 25-yard line. Jet motion from Robinson. They will give. Nice block on the edge. And a nice play by Nate Gers to get off that cut block and make the tackle. And Gers is in there because Wyatt Lee's getting retaped here on the near sideline. A little shaken up after the last play of the fumble recovery.
Yeah, I can't quite tell what happened, if it's a muscle or he's getting an ankle taped. But it looks like it's a calf here that they're taping. Wouldn't be surprised if he's going to sit the next couple quarters out.
2nd and 6 from the 29 now for Central after a nice play by Gers. Hawkins, pressure in his face, steps up, just going to pitch it ahead to the running back. A heads-up play from the quarterback. Dallas McCray and Jake Holliday were breaking through ahead of him. Just pitched it forward to Hop, and Hop is able to get 4 yards and get him to 3rd and 2.
Very, very nice play, but very, very dangerous decision.
Schwartz closes quickly.
Nothing easy on this Wheaton defense, even there. Great play by Schwartz to clean it up, make it 3rd and 2.
And the first down that Central badly needs.
Looks like Wheaton's bringing pressure again.
Trips to the right side. Here they come. They bring 6. Hawkins into the face of the pressure, and down he goes.
Holliday?
It's Holliday.
The big boy.
They brought 6, and the pocket collapsed in front of him.
Well, he just overpowers the guard on that play. I mean,
Jake
there was
Suget
a lot of
run
help.
over.
A lot of help because he doesn't get double teamed, but he just got absolutely bull rushed onto his back, reverse pancake, and puts the quarterback down. Just totally dominant effort so far by Wheaton's defense.
Suget's given up 2 of the 3 sacks Wheaton has as the rain starts to fall again. And Danny Anderson is back to punt. Wobbly snap. He gets it away. Almost blocked. Going to be bounced, and there's Nichols all the way back to his own 20. Stops on his 17.
Just get that.
Pinned to the sideline. He dances his way up to the 27.
Great punt.
Okay, bud, you just missed 3 weeks. Let's not get hurt in this game.
Kind of tragic that he's not the first team all-conference wide receiver. But it's tough when you miss 3 games.
At the 27-yard line.
Looks like he's a bit gimpy too.
So it'll be Caleb Brink inside of Carson Lean. As Wheaton starts, they've scored all 5 times they've had the ball here in the first quarter. And they've done it into the wind. Pressure comes from Central. This is Singleton on the counter behind Stone Watson. And Sam Singleton gets out across the 30 to the 32-yard line. Wheaton is averaging 7.8 yards per carry so far, and that's just a little shy of the average. They get 5 on first down as we're into the final minute of the first quarter.
Part of what you're seeing from guys getting up slower is the fact that it's 32 degrees and pouring cold rain. Just hurts a little more when you're playing football in this kind of weather.
Wheaton taking its time as they can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. The wind has really picked up, gusting as hard as it has all day. So this can be Wheaton's final play running into the wind. They will just give it to Singleton again, and Singleton's going to be swallowed up at the line of scrimmage, but that will put the end on maybe Wheaton's most dominant quarter of the season, as they have buried Central 35-0. Luke Anthony wants a play call here. He wants the tempo to work against Central and keep going. But
I don't think so. I think you want to, just in case you have to end up punting it, you want the wind at your back.
Right. And they wisely will hold off and switch fields. Wheaton 35-0 over Central after just 15 minutes.
I got to admit, I did not see this coming. But it's nice to see Wheaton come out ready to play in all 3 phases. We've made all 5 kicks, covered kicks well, scored on every possession, had 2 turnovers. That's what you like to see.
Take a quick swing around the country. Mount Union at halftime leading North Central 38-28. Del Valley 17-3 over Wesley. Muhlenberg 28-0 as they start in the second half over Brockport. Union closing the gap on Salisbury, 42-34 early in that game. A couple of unbeatens, and Whitewater off to a 17-7 lead over Wartburg early in the second quarter. Mary Hardin Baylor 17-0 early in the second quarter over Huntingdon. Dan, what have you got for the first half? First quarter
Very quick. 35-0 Wheaton over Central. 9 first downs for Wheaton, 2 for Central. Central has 8 carries for minus 29 yards. Wheaton has 16 carries for 115 yards. Total offense for Central, 17 for 41 yards. Total plays for Wheaton, 21 for 237 yards. Stone Watson leading the way with 21 carries for 61 yards.
Snap back. Anthony wasn't ready, and now he's going to escape the pocket. He's got room to run. If he can get to the sticks, he can, and he's pushed out of bounds at the 40. Hibbins snapped it when he was going to check at the line.
I think he thought that he was going to catch a Central guy in the neutral zone and get a free play there, but
second time we've seen Luke Anthony with a nice scramble for a first down. Marked it to 39 to move the chains. So Singleton and Watson will split Luke Anthony. Again, the rain driving after what took a couple hours off, and the wind has really picked up in the last 10-15 minutes. Singleton stretching to the right side, has a nice block from Nichols, another one from Watson, tucks inside of the 45, and he's going to be just shy of another first down all the way out to the 48-yard line. But this is a vibrant running attack, the likes of we haven't seen in quite a few weeks.
And we knew Wheaton had this. I mean, this was the matchup that you felt really comfortable about in this game, is Wheaton's O-line against the Central D-line.
Second and less than a yard, and with the wind at their back, this is an area where Jesse could look to get aggressive. They've taken a couple of big shots into the wind. We'll see if he does one now with the wind at his back. Just a minute into the second quarter, Wheaton leads Central 35-0. Play fake, time in the pocket, just a 4-man rush. Has Nichols wide open and a sliding catch by Nichols. They're going to say that hit the turf. Check it again here on the replay. Anthony all day to throw.
Hands to the face.
I don't know.
Looks like a catch to
That
me.
looks like a catch. The arms are under, sliding down. But the good news is Wheaton just with third and only a yard to pick up. They motion McJunkin to the right side, give his to Singleton to the left, and it's all swallowed up again by Matt Glockel.
Just don't understand that.
Glockel with a great play to defeat the block of Jack Miller, and Wheaton will have to bring on the punt unit for the first time. Just 2-on-2 at the point of attack, and Central wins it between Glockel and Tate O'Toole.
Big job. Nice job by the Central defense to get a stop and get off the field. Stop the bleeding here.
Yeah, they desperately needed that.
Bickle with the opportunity to wind at his back to pin Central deep. Something he's been good at all year.
And back, single return man is Hunter Robinson. Motion comes across the formation by Tayshawn Gibbs. And this is not Bickle's best effort. It is high. And Robinson going to catch that one all the way up to the 22. Bickle not pleased with himself there.
Just did not come off his foot well at all. It had a wobble from the very beginning, and just not a great punt. But, I mean, it's on the 22-yard line, right? So it's not like it's the field position isn't going to kill you. It's great field position flop over for Wheaton, but Central's got a long way to go, and they need something here. They need to get something going.
At least flip the field, do something.
Well, and all that action comes previously with their offense running with the wind at its back. Now they'll have to throw into the wind with Hawkins. Twins to the right side and split left. Motion comes down from Canuck. Play fake, looking to the left side, right up the rail for Robinson. Man-to-man coverage with Robbie Schwartz. And Robinson's got a height advantage at 6'0", but Schwartz has been dealing with that all year. He's a feisty corner who doesn't give up a whole lot of big plays.
Well, you can just see the effect that the wind has on the ball already. I mean, the flags on the uprights are blowing directly in the face of the Central offense, and that's going to have a big effect on this game.
Well, it's starting to blow a little corner to corner as well, which might have carried that ball out of bounds. 2nd and 10 at the 22. Motion comes from the tight end, who sets up on the right side. This is Hop on the carry, and Hop with nowhere to go, even though he will find a seam and carry Jake Holliday across the 25 to the 26.
Now it's 3rd and manageable.
Nice patient run from Hop there.
You know, that was a tough on first down for Hawkins. That's always a tough throw. That's a timing throw if you're throwing that back shoulder fade. But I don't think that it doesn't seem like the big play is something that Central really goes for like Wheaton does. They're more of this quick intermediate passing game. So it'll be interesting to see if the wind really does affect them here. They got four wide on this 3rd and 5.
And watching their tape all week, their big plays come from a lot of broken plays as well, those scramble drills and broken tackles. 3rd and 6. And that is nowhere near Hunter Robinson.
Pass was incomplete intended for number 2, Robinson.
And what Central didn't need is what they get, and that's a 3 and out. And now they will have to find a way to kick into the wind. And if you're Central, chasing 5 scores already, don't rule out a fake punt here, because you've got to find something to get you started. And when you're already chasing the game to this level, it's not absurd to rule it out. Danny Anderson, who did the last punt, will be in the backfield, and he will probably rugby style this thing to keep it under the wind.
Philip Nichols not back deep to return this one.
This will be Matthew Tucker. High snap again, rugby style. Going to bounce right at midfield, and the wind kind of kills that roll, but does a nice job to at least get it across the 40 to the 37. Given the conditions, that's a pretty good field turn for Central.
Well, Tim, and one thing you mentioned with Central's offense, they make a lot of big plays on broken plays, and if you watch what the defensive ends are doing, Pat O'Connell is really doing a great job of setting an edge. And when River Schindeldecker, he had his ears pinned back on that last play, but he's rushing an upfield shoulder, right? So he's making Hawkins stay in the pocket, and he can't bail out the other side because Schindeldecker's chasing him back into the pocket. And it's just great defense and a great job of staying home from a defensive line that's absolutely trying to get to the quarterback today.
So it's 1st and 10 at their own 37. They've had the ball 6 times. They've scored 5, having to punt on their last drive. 1st and 10. Give is to Stone Watson. Watson on a cutback counter jumps over the pancake of Wyatt Southall, and he will get maybe a yard or 2. Again, Wheaton shuffling its offensive line this week after Joey Paulino was banged up in practice. So Gabe McGill rolls from right guard to left tackle, and Wyatt Southall, who was just cleared out of the concussion protocol early this week, plugs back in at right guard. So left to right, it is McGill, Rogers, Hibben, Southall, and Wagner. Back to pass is Anthony. And he's going to drill this thing into Nichols, who can't quite bring it in again. Diving down at the 40 of Central, and it'll be 3rd and 9 for the Thunder.
Just a little bit off from Luke. That's a tough throw, but just a little low. Nichols couldn't get down and make the play.
Some of the heavier rain that may be coming through looks like it's moving its way into the area. We'll have to keep an eye on that as this front rolls through. 3rd and 9 from the 38-yard line. 3-man rush for the Dutch. Anthony well protected, and he throws it behind Stone Watson, who is coming out of the backfield.
Number 31, Stone Watson. 4th down and 9.
And a nice job by the Central defense to get off the field yet again. And Bickle looking to atone for his disappointed punt last time. Has a lot of room. He can really turn this one loose.
Man, the weather's taking a turn for the worse. Nice to get out to a 35-0 lead before the weather comes in.
Gibbs motioning again. High snap, and it's through the hands of Bickle, who picks it up, and Bickle just falls on it all the way back at the 18. Bickle's shown it a couple times, escaping pressure, as just using his athleticism, but couldn't bring that one in. The high snap from Philip Barber, and Central has the break they need. They get to 3 and out, and now they're going to start at the Wheaton 18-yard line.
You know, at 35-0, it's really tough to find something that's going wrong in this game. But to look at this team, and if it's a team that wants to go deep into the playoffs, you know, heading into the quarterfinals, presumably, you have to stay sharp on offense, and you can't have miscues in your special teams like that. I mean, you're giving Central an opportunity to go 18 yards for a score now.
Jet motion, and Hawkins will keep for the first time today inside the 10, and he will be brought down all the way at the 5. Kennedy trying to stand him up and strip him. And it's worth noting the Wheaton number 1 defense hasn't been scored on since the 3rd quarter against North Central.
Wow.
Has not surrendered a touchdown. There have been field goals in that span, but they have not given up a touchdown since October 5th. And Hawkins has his crew at 1st and goal at the 4. Motion across the formation again. Hawkins will give, and this will be, well, it's going to depend if the knee went down, and he did. And knee went down shy of the goal line, similar to the Nichols play. That's Hunter Robinson again. Nice job by Sigler to get off the block and come down and make that play. But Central on the doorstep here with 10:20 left in the first half. 2nd and goal at the 1. Hawkins will give to Hopp, who's swallowed up by Ryan Schwartz back at the 4.
This is where it's so tough on the Wheaton defense, because when they get inside the red zone, this field gets smaller and smaller. They can play faster and faster coming downhill into the backfield.
And correction, that was actually Wyatt Lee who was bringing pressure, found a seam, and got him as soon as he touched the football. 3rd and goal at the 4. In what may be 4-down territory for Central.
Absolutely.
Trips to the right side for Hawkins, hop on his right hip. Wheaton does not bring pressure. Pocket rolls to his right. Now pressure in his face, and he throws it out of the end zone. And now we'll see what decision Central makes. I think they're going to keep the offense on the field, and they will.
We're starting to see that's a very standard goal line play there, where you get that bunch set to the field and that inside guy rubs to the pylon, but he kind of ran pretty slowly. He made it easy for the slot corner to cover the out route.
4th and goal from the 4, and Central's going to use a timeout.
Timeout, Central. Their first of the half.
I mean, good timeout, I think, by Central. I mean, you really need to have a play that you feel very, very confident in. You need the time to run it, and you need everybody on the same page, because, as we mentioned, I mean, this was 2 series ago now. Every single series matters, and if you get stuffed on 4th and 4 with your easily best opportunity to score so far today, it is absolutely imperative that they get a ball in the end zone here. It's pretty much the game. I mean, it could be the game.
Keeping an eye on things in Alliance. North Central takes the opening drive of the second half, and that's Andrew Kaminsky takes a slant about 60 yards to the house in what looks like a Tecmo Bowl game out there, 38-35, or I should say 34, pending the extra point. Mount Union leading North Central. North Central led that game 28-20 in the middle of the second quarter.
If nothing else, for all teams still in this. Well, here we go. We got 4th down. Get to Mount Union after this.
So it's Hawkins in the shotgun, 3 wides. Hop and Travis Wagner, the tackle, also motions. They got power line right. And now motion comes from Hunter Robinson, setting up a trips to the right side. Same look. They're going to roll the pocket. They're going to throw back across the field, and that is complete. I think that's a lineman.
Yep. Well,
no, that's the tight end, Norum, who was lined up and opened up as the available receiver on the backside when the tackle motioned. And Central is able to get on the board on 4th and goal.
That's a great play.
It's really hard
to sprint away, and the tight end blocks, and releases, and all Hawkins is doing, he doesn't even know if he's open. He's just throwing that ball up saying, hey, go make a play,
go
83.
Get it, yeah, go get it.
So that's the first touchdown scored since 4.5 minutes left in the third quarter against North Central. First touchdown scored against the Wheaton defensive starters. Albert to add the extra point, and it is good. So Central takes advantage of the snap over the head of the punter, and they take over from the Wheaton 18 and punch it in.
It's a sign of life. I mean, we wrote off Central. We were pretty close to putting it on the board when it was 31-7 Oshkosh last week, but Central was able to rally, and it's because of plays like that. I mean, you give the ball to the Central Dutch in your own territory with 18 yards to go. They're going to find a way to get there.
Yeah,
they're going to find a way to put points on the board.
Speaking of that score, awfully close to putting Whitewater on the board over Wartburg, 31-7 in the middle of the second quarter. Elsewhere out east, Delaware Valley leads Wesley 23-3.
That's a revenge game, right?
I believe you're right. I think Wesley knocked them out. Muhlenberg 28-0 over Brockport, and Salisbury 48-34 over Union.
Go back to that touchdown play. Sigler, that's a tough play for him, because they're sprinting away. Looks like Wheaton brought pressure and was in man, so you know that's his guy who caught the touchdown. So, but it's so tough when you see all of the action moving away from you to stay at home and cover a tight end that was blocking.
And this will be taken by Nate Magnuson at the 20. Magnuson finds a seam to the 30, 35, 40, and he is decked by Braden Egley at the 43-yard line, but not before a great return to set Wheaton up with good field position.
Very nice hit by Braden Egley.
Down in Belton, Mary Hardin Baylor leads Huntingdon 17-0 late in the second quarter. The Hawks hanging in there relative to the schedules there. That's a 3-loss Huntingdon team who found a way to beat a good Berry team last week in one of the better first-round games.
That Huntington team, similar result when they came up here. They just kind of got blitzed in that playoff game against Wheaton.
As this is a stretch to Stone Watson, tucks it into midfield. And, that was similar to today, even a windier game for an air attack offense. And worth noting, Mount Union has answered already. That'll be 45-35 with the extra point. They just do
Shane
not.
Durkin having a tough time figuring out a game plan against Mount Union right now.
He can step in line there. Everyone has struggled with D'Angelo Fulford and company.
If it's anything like they've played Wheaton, it's a ton of man coverage, and you can't beat Justin Hill. And man, that kid's going to play on Sundays.
2nd and 1 from the 48-yard line. Watson, the lone back, he'll take the carry, and he will be brought down at the line of scrimmage. Might have even lost half a yard.
Kicking net blown over.
Yeah, and all of a sudden Parkas went flying as well. The wind has really picked up. Like we mentioned, the heavier rain of what's coming through should be coming in probably around the halftime break. So we've got 8.5 minutes left here in the first half. It is kind of a light driving, probably a stinging rain if you're down in the elements. But a big 3rd down here for Central, just across midfield. They've got off the field the last 2 times, and they've just scored for the first time. Trying to build on this momentum. Z motion from Phil Nichols. Now he comes back and makes it trips to the right side. Luke Anthony will roll right. Flag goes up. He's going to keep it, and he's going to have a first down.
I think they got an illegal formation. I don't know, though. Oh, Luke Anthony down.
He went flying into the sideline.
Illegal shift on Wheaton.
Yeah, it must have had too many guys. Somebody else must have been moving. And Anthony was the guy you worried most about an injury because you're also...
Legal shift on the offense, number 11, number 5. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Carson Lean also must have been moving there. So Anthony is back up and trying to walk it off, and Dave Beamer will come out onto the field now and take over on 3rd and 6. A position that Wheaton's a little short at. Spencer Peterson with the torn ACL early in the year. Jeremiah Tucker out yet again this week. Now they got to get the right formation onto the field. Play clock's already down to 13.
You got 3 timeouts. Probably take one right here. Get the right play. Make sure Beamer knows what's going on.
Play clock's at 6 as he sets up. Motion for Singleton. They get it off in time, and it's going to be a quarterback draw for Beamer, and Beamer's going to get back just across midfield.
I like the play call.
So, yeah, just well defended there by Central. Nice job by the nose tackle to take up 2 guys, and he ended up ultimately not giving Beamer a clean release. It looked like Martin Olson.
That's where you really – it's nice to have a senior quarterback come in and play as a backup, but that's where you miss a Tucker or a Peterson, where they're really dynamic as a backup quarterback, pulling the ball down and running just a straight quarterback draw.
So Bickle to punt for the 3rd time. Good snap this time from Barber. He gets it away. Spiraling kick. There's the Bickle we're used to seeing, but he can't, almost too far.
Overclubbed it with the downwind.
Yeah, he came up a club short last time, overcompensated, and drove this one into the end zone. Got to get that swing calibrated with the wind at his back.
He hasn't had to punt too much lately.
So we'll see Central off their first touchdown back on. For Bickle, just his 3rd touchback of the season for a guy who's penned 9 punts inside the 5-yard line. Jet motion from Robinson. He'll take the handoff, has a blocker ahead of him. Nice job by Caden Sigler. Takes on the blocker, knows he has to blow up the lead block, and actually makes the tackle as well. But not before first down.
As Dan has been saying, Wheaton's done a great job of setting the edge. That time, they just ran right past him. Nobody blocked River. They ran right past him.
Pitch sweep out to Hop. Kennedy takes the wrong angle, and he's going to get out across the 35. So a couple of nice run plays here for the Dutch. Their 2 best run plays on back-to-back plays, and it'll be 2nd and 5.
Gamicha getting cut. That's the problem.
O'Connell makes the tackle from the other side of the field. Play fake, and now they will go into the near side for Canuck, and Canuck tiptoes and then gets buried into the sideline for a gain of 2 to the 38-yard line. And so a 3rd and short here for Central, starting to build on some momentum. Their defense has gotten off the field 3 times in a row after giving up 5 straight scores. And their offense has just put points on the board for the first time today.
Well, that's the crazy thing about being up 35-0 when you're heading into the second quarter is there's so much game left. I mean, it's not unheard of to come back from that, so you just need to stay sharp and put people away, and they need to get off the field right here on defense.
Pressure comes against Hawkins. Wyatt Lee's untouched, and he has his 2nd sack of the day. Schindeldecker met him at the quarterback, and Hawkins never had time to get to the back of his drop.
Just unbelievably clean for him to be able to just shoot through that. Nobody touched him, and he just sprints right through the gap and makes the play.
The Wheaton linebackers all year have done a great job of coming from depth. They're not showing their hand too early. But if I'm a central offensive lineman on third and medium, you got to know that C.J. Nangle likes to dial up the blitz and that they're likely coming with at least one guy.
Well, and Cody Smith, the left tackle, who's a first-team All-ARC player, I mean, he just didn't even give Wyatt Lee a look.
Anderson on that rugby look takes a long time and now drives this one. Tucker's going to make the catch, backpedaling at his 25, and that's Canuck who makes the tackle back at the 22. That's a driven rugby-style kick for Anderson, but Wheaton has to be careful. They're giving a lot of ground on that rollout with a good athlete in Danny Anderson who could take off and pick that up.
Well, and what that does is it makes your punter into a weapon because he does have the ability to fake, but look how long it takes him to kick that ball. Your coverage unit is down the field almost to the returner before the ball's even in the air.
Dan, it gives me flashbacks to 15 years ago against Carthage. Watching a guy like that.
So Luke Anthony back on the field for the Thunder here after he missed the third down of the last drive. Seemed to be running that hit off pretty quick. Might have just landed awkwardly. 1st and 10 from their own 22. All 3 timeouts. 5:02 left here in the first half. As Anthony drops back to pass, has time, drops it off underneath to Adam Tarini. Tarini to the 25, and he stumbles down at the 27. Tarini, who has been quiet here as the Wheaton offense has exploded.
Well, I believe that's only Luke's 5th completion of the day.
It is. He is now 5 of 9.
Wheaton lucky to not get a offensive pass interferences. They were blocking.
I never understood why, too, a player who clearly commits a penalty throws his hands up in the air, and it's almost always going to draw a penalty when you do that.
2nd and 5 from the 27 for Anthony, who will give to Stone Watson. Cuts it right up the middle, lowers his shoulder, and he's going to be very close to a first down across the 30. They need the 32. He at least says the 31, and it looks like it's going to be 3rd and maybe less than a yard.
Tackle by number 33 O'Toole and number 52 Tom Adolph.
O'Toole and Tom Adolph making the tackle, 3rd and less than a yard.
I'd like to see from Wheaton's offense here, just go with what's gotten you here so far and just run power football.
Stone
just
Watson,
go right at the teeth.
They've got the tight end wing to the right side. Play fake. Double move. This is Tucker. Matthew Tucker's going to take it to the house. Luke Anthony over the top, and Tucker left William Diaz Jr. sitting there waiting.
Look at that breakaway speed from Matthew Tucker, just a freshman. I mean, we keep saying that guy has got a long, decorated career ahead of him for Wheaton. I mean, he runs good routes, good hands, and on that play, just a great play call by Jesse. Great fake by Luke Anthony and delivered a perfect ball in stride to Matthew Tucker, who takes it to the house for a big score. Awesome to see.
Great job up front by the Wheaton offensive line because that play takes time. I mean, they were in.
Yeah, you've got a play fake and a deep ball to throw as Bose adds the extra point with the wind at his back, 42-7. And really, it sounds silly, but a score Wheaton needed because Central had the momentum after a couple stops, and they were able to keep the offense out there. They brought pressure. They've got 6 coming, and it's a very clean pocket for Luke Anthony, and that's the direction you do need to throw touch on because you're throwing with the wind at your back. If he lets that loose like he did to Nichols earlier in the game, that ball's sailing out of the back of the end zone. So 42-7 our lead for the Thunder. Luke Anthony now 6 of 10 for 196 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Wow.
That QBR seems to have stabilized at 356. Stone Watson with 6 carries for 75 yards. Wheaton's run for 124 yards of offense. Bo's trying to keep that ball on the tee with the wind gusting at his back. 3:41 left. The Dutch will have 2 timeouts. Remember, they'll get the ball out of the halftime break.
This could be one of those dangerous kicks for Central here with the way that, as we mentioned, Bose with the hang time he has with the wind at his back. He'll put this thing right on the goal line.
High end over end, and that's going to be taken. That's going to drive 5-6 yards deep.
It's just remarkable the hang time he gets on a kickoff. Typically when you see guys get a bunch of kickbacks, it's just blown through the end zone, but that thing just hangs and hangs and hangs and makes that fair catch difficult because you just don't know where it's going to go.
Delaware Valley has stretched its lead to 24-3 over Wesley. Pair of 10-1 teams doing battle. Muhlenberg has stretched its lead to 35-0 as they approach the close of the fourth quarter. Salisbury 48-34 over Union. 1st and 10 from their own 25 as the tight end motions left to right for Central. And now motion comes from Canuck. Canuck will motion right past. Hawkins on the keeper. Schindeldecker pursuing. Good inside pursuit as he takes a big hit between Schindeldecker, Wyatt Lee, and Spencer Rowland.
Wyatt Lee is everywhere today.
He is.
And Wyatt Lee's, for the guy who led the Division III in tackles last year, we've talked about he's been an overlooked part of this defense, but like you mentioned, he's been flying all over the field today. And not surprising when you're kind of tying Ryan Schwartz up as a little bit of a spy linebacker. 2nd and 8, motion comes from Robinson. He'll take the handoff around the corner. Lee's going to make the tackle, going to hold him up, and then Sigler will run him out of bounds. And he'll leave 3rd and short, 3rd and 3, up to the 30, looks like the 33-yard line. So it'll be 3rd and 2 for Central.
I like what Central's doing, trying to get to the outside with these jet sweeps and let their quarterback Hawkins read the defensive end, whether or not he's going to keep it or not. I feel that's probably the only option you have if you're going to try to run on this Wheaton front 7.
3rd and 2 from the 33, so we'll see if Wheaton brings pressure now. Schwartz is showing, and here comes Wyatt Lee. Lee, as it just take
Great
advantage and dump it off on a screen. It's Hop with blockers ahead of him, and Roland slows him down, and he's cleaned up from behind by Ryan Schwartz. And that time the chess match plays out in Central's favor. They just dump the screen over the top of the blitz.
On the replay here, you see Wyatt Lee. They get just enough of him to slow him down. He can't get his hands up in the air, and gouged on a big play, just dumping it right over the top of Lee.
And quickly to the line of scrimmage are the Dutch. This is that fast break style. When this offense is at its best, they're running plays every 15 seconds. 2.5 minutes left, first half. They still have 2 timeouts. Fake the pitch sweep. Hawkins will keep. And he's going to be brought down at the line of scrimmage by Jake Holliday.
See, and this is the unbelievable thing, is you talk about Wyatt Lee, led all of Division III last year in tackles with 179, but on this Wheaton defense, 4 of your top 6 tacklers are your front 4 D linemen. Jake Holliday, number 2 on the team in tackles.
Just a great play.
Just unbelievably fast for being such a big guy, a force in the middle, forces you to run outside, but if you do, he'll catch you from behind.
2nd and 10 from the 47 for Hawkins. Looks to be man-to-man to the left side. He will play fake off, roll to the left. Pressure from Dallas McCray. He's just going to loft this thing up. Wyatt Lee's racing to get there, but it falls harmlessly shy of Jason Hopp, and it'll be 3rd and 10 for the Dutch.
I was getting ready to say, we haven't really called Dallas McCray's name too much today.
He's been doubled
Yes.
and partially triple teamed with a chip on almost every play.
And this is a Central line that really likes to go man-to-man. So you've seen the protection breakdown elsewhere because they're used to having that help with man-to-man, or they're spending extra resources on Dallas McCray. 3rd and 10, minute 43 left. This will be a free play for Central. They're going to take advantage as Hawkins waiting for his man to go deep. It'll be caught by Robinson against Schwartz all the way down to the 28-yard line. Just a box out at the 27-yard line by Hunter Robinson, so they'll decline the offsides penalty. Hawkins was waiting for Robinson to go up the rail. Instead, just had to hit him in his chest. But that's an incredibly clean ball into the wind.
Offside. Defense, number 47. That is declined. First down.
Referee Tom Burns shouting that into the wind.
That wasn't on 47.
He just picked O'Connell because there were about 4 of us that were offsides. The closest one to him.
Central College.
Both teams with just 1 penalty for 5 yards so far today. 1 accepted penalty. So it's 1st and 10 at the Wheaton 27 for Hawkins. Minute 36, 2 timeouts remaining here in the first half. Central trying to get the halftime swing. They will get the ball to open the second half. Clock is stopped following the penalty. So a long check with the sideline. Play clock is down to 5 though. Snap back is at 1. Long read. And he will throw back to the left side for Robinson.
No.
Incomplete. All over that call was the head linesman, Nick Panazzo, who also made the incompletion call against Nichols. Schindeldecker just driving Cody Smith back into the feet of his quarterback.
I think Hawkins is starting to get some confidence here that he can throw the ball up to his guys and let them go and make plays.
We've got a flag right back where the ball was thrown. And Wheaton's retreating.
Roughing the passer, number 47 on the defense. Half this to the goal, automatic first down.
Pat O'Connell going to be called for roughing the passer. Only saw Schindeldecker with pressure. I didn't see anybody else really near the quarterback when he threw that ball.
It was hit as he threw.
Maybe they was taking him to the ground.
Yeah, could have taken him and slung him down.
So that is a 14-yard penalty with half the distance.
You got a bow up here, though. You got a minute and a half left.
Twins to the left. Now let's send Hop all the way stretched to the right side. So 2-by-2 the receivers. Back goes the quarterback Hawkins. He's looking to his right, going to throw the corner route, and that is incomplete. A nice play made by Rowland, who's covering a slot receiver because the running back went out past him. Breaks it up at the pylon, and it'll be second down. Intended for Canuck, and a nice play by Rowland, punching from behind. Minute 23 remaining for the Dutch. Same formation, Twins left. They'll keep Hop in the backfield as Hawkins drops against Ford, throwing that same route, and that is broken up again by Rowland. Same route, just without Hop over to the right side. And it gets quickly 3rd and 10 for the Dutch with a minute 17 remaining. I think Rowland got away with that one. He got there a little bit early.
I'd be pretty upset if they called that play, though. I mean, that's a bang-bang play on a jump ball.
3rd and 10 from the 13. Trips to the right side. Hunter Robinson split left, working against Robbie Schwartz. They roll the safety help to the trip side and bring pressure from his left. They've got the screen, and it's read perfectly by Luke Gamicha, who was sitting in the pocket and knocked it out of the hands of the running back. So now we'll see with Central that it looks like they're going to keep the offense on the field here.
Yeah, and you go back to the film and watch that replay. Travis Wagner, what are you doing there? I mean, it was set up perfectly. You block that guy, they might go in for a score.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that's almost to the point of being too far downfield.
And he dipped down and just didn't have his eyes on the blocker, and you can't block what you can't see. Just not a good play from Travis Wagner.
Twins to each side for Hawkins on 4th and 10 from the Wheaton 13-yard line.
Don't jump.
Here comes Wyatt Lee. They bring 6. Looking to the right on the slant to Kanak, and it's knocked out of his hands by Spencer Rowland again.
He didn't have it either way, but that's a great job by the Wheaton defense to get off the field.
Kanak couldn't bring it in on 3 tries there, and the Wheaton defense stands up tall. And now Wheaton with 3 timeouts.
Sorry to interrupt you, but you see the answer for Wyatt Lee cut block right there.
Oh, he is
great cut block.
Stoned there by Jason Hopp.
Just an absolutely great cut block.
Just a little too high for Kanak to shield Rowland.
Nice play to get off the field. You know, Coach Pete Ittershek is going to be coaching him up there can't give up that inside.
So Wheaton's got some decisions to make here. You've dominated the first half. Do you just take a knee backed up to your own end? Or do you maybe see something like a delayed handoff, a little bit of a screen look, see what pops, since you've got 3 timeouts and a minute 8 to go. Two wide receivers set. They will take a long feed, and then it'll be Stone Watson, who will be buried at the 15-yard line.
Yeah, we'll see what Central wants to do here if they want to.
They do have 2 timeouts, but I still think
like
Wheaton could get it to the break.
Yep.
Rusty, you talk about the importance of momentum. That score, Wheaton's score, to go up 42-0. Followed by 42-7. That stop right there by Wheaton's defense. Think about if they had not scored that touchdown. Central scores there. You're looking at 35-21 going into the break with Central on the ball. That's the way you ride up an upset. It's the way you neutralize the momentum that was clearly in Wheaton's favor in the first quarter. But very good job of Wheaton by putting another score on the board and then the defense doing what they do.
2nd and 8 at the 15. What looks like Wheaton's going to run this thing into the break. This will be another handoff to Stone Watson. It's well blocked up. He gets a crease across the 20. He's going to have a first down. And that will end the first half. A dominant first quarter by the Thunder. They led 35-0 after 15 minutes. And they're going to run this clock down to the end of the first half, and will take a 42-7 lead over Central College at the halftime break here in the second round of the NCAA playoffs. Can't ask for anything better. As Wheaton sprints to the team room, a dominant opening half for the home team. Central's going to look to regroup and see if they have another monumental comeback behind them. They rallied from 31-7 last week, the largest comeback in program history. We'll see if they can do it again here in the second half. We're going to step aside. We'll come back. We'll look at the first half stats and look ahead to the second half. You're watching NCAA Division III playoff action on the Wheaton Thunder Sports Network.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that, and it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
Being a part of the different activities and organizations that I've been a part of, I'm actually able to see myself where I'm like, hey, I actually can make a change. I'm one person that can make a difference.
Division III has helped me to develop teamwork skills, critical thinking skills, time management skills.
It's not just about basketball, or it's not just about school, it's about developing yourself as a person altogether.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has been that I am capable of doing things that I didn't know I was capable of doing.
To be able to study what I wanted to and continue to play the sport I love, all of those things came together very nicely in one package in Division III.
One word I'd use to describe my Wheaton experience is purposeful. And I say purposeful because through people and experiences here, the Lord has been teaching me to reorient my desires and aspirations for work in His kingdom.
Flourishing. I chose the word flourishing because of the specific leadership and mentorship opportunities I've experienced at Wheaton and how they've allowed me not only to grow here, but given me the confidence to navigate life after Wheaton.
Winning. I chose the word winning because I feel like all my friends and professors have encouraged me to have a winning mindset.
Full. I chose the word full because my Wheaton College experience has been full of mentorship and friendship here, and I've been left with intergenerational friendship that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life.
Transformative. The reason why I chose the word transformative is because of all the ways I've been influenced by my professors, my peers, and my friends at my time at Wheaton.
Rooted. The reason I chose the word rooted is because I am leaving Wheaton grounded in both my faith and calling.
Unexpected. The reason I chose this word is because I expected to be challenged by Wheaton's academics, but I wasn't expecting how I would be challenged and grown through Wheaton's athletics, student life, and student engagement.
Deep. I chose the word deep because of the deep relationships I've been able to build with friends and all the people I've been able to meet at Wheaton.
Holistic. I chose that word because Wheaton has taken my education and my vision for my life and it's expanded it and shaped it physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in every way.
Journey. The reason why I chose Journey is because of the many highs and lows that I've experienced here at Wheaton. These highs and lows are a taste of what life after Wheaton is going to be like. And this is why I love Wheaton.
Welcome back inside the booth here at McCully Stadium alongside Tim March and Dan Studebaker. I'm Rusty Lindsay. At halftime, the Wheaton Thunder leading the Central College Dutch 42-7 here at McCully Stadium, the second round of the NCAA Division III playoffs. Wheaton trying to make its way to the quarterfinals for the third time in program history. They're trying to host a quarterfinal for the first time in program history. And Tim, you've got the first half stats. Take us through the sheet there.
All right, so Wheaton with 37 plays for 330 yards of offense. They have 27 rushes for 134 yards. And Luke Anthony is 6 of 10 for 196 yards passing. They have had the ball for 16 minutes to Central's 14. Central has 124 yards on 39 plays. They are 11 of 21 with 1 interception. They have 18 rushes for 8 yards. Stone Watson leads the Thunder with 8 rushes for 85 yards. TJ Williams has 9 rushes for 43. Hunter Robinson has 5 rushes for 25 yards for Central. And he also leads them receiving with 3 catches for 55 yards. Philip Nichols, 3 catches for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. Matthew Tucker, 1 catch for 69 yards and a touchdown. And Burt McJuckin, 1 catch for 34 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, the rushing yards for Central being stopped quite a bit by Wheaton's 2.5 sacks that have really, or they got 4 sacks of Hawkins that have cost him quite a bit of yardage. Wiley with 3 tackles for loss. He's got a game-high 7, along with Connor Lewin. So this has been as impressive a first half of football as we've seen the Wheaton Thunder play, and it is very reminiscent to what we saw against WashU in a lot of ways, where Central and their up-tempo offense kind of feeding right into the strength of the Wheaton defense, and Wheaton just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. Scored on all of their first 5 possessions of the game, and before Central could kind of establish itself, they'd have a pretty big hole to dig themselves out of.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, Wheaton scoring 6 times, having 42 points. They only have had the ball for 16 minutes. You would have thought the time of possession would be a little bit more in their favor. But Central's actually run 39 plays to Wheaton's 37.
Keep an eye on things around the country. We've decided to put Muhlenberg on the board, leading by a score of 38-0 with just a few minutes left in the fourth quarter. Elsewhere, Delaware Valley getting close to putting away Wesley, 38-10 with 12 minutes to go. 42-0, Muhlenberg over Brockport. Salisbury 55-41 over Union in a high-scoring game. Just started the second half. Whitewater leads Wartburg 31-7. Halftime in Belton, Mary Hardin Baylor 31-0 over Huntington. And one game later today as St. John's traveling out to Orange County to face Chapman. That'll be a 2 o'clock Central start between the Johnnies and the Panthers of Chapman. And we did, of course, leave one game out, and that's because at the end of the third quarter, North Central has come back to take a 49-45 lead over Mount Union. They've got the ball in their own 34, and that's been the problem. Mount Union, we were kind of talking before we came back on the air, Mount Union facing 4th and 3 around midfield, chose to punt. They haven't been able to stop Brock Rudder.
Well, and what we also been talking about too is North Central, they've been pretty much methodically driving the ball on this Mount defense. Score a touchdown, kick it off. Mount hits like hits a 60-yard play and a 20-yard play, and they score. So they're definitely not out of it with how quickly they've been scoring, but we would understand if you guys decided to change your dial and move over to the North Central Mount Union game. Mount Union had 470 yards of offense, 460 yards of offense at the half.
Yeah, that game's got over 1,100 yards of offense, and they've got 15 minutes to go. Just video game numbers being put up by D'Angelo Fulford. It is worth noting that they've held Hill without a catch in the second half. He's still sitting at 5 catches for 201 yards. And they did have a couple minutes ago, Andrew Kaminsky went down, but he is back on the field. So that's good to see for the Cardinals. It'd be sure as heck be a statement for the CCIW
Absolutely.
to make. To go out to Alliance and even to give Mount Union this much of a challenge. Mount Union statistically is second in the country defensively behind Wheaton. And North Central is moving the ball at will. And we'd have to go back maybe to the 1990s since Mount Union has not made it to the quarterfinals.
Yes.
It's been a long time since the Purple Raiders have not won their way through 2 games in the NCAA playoffs.
Well, it's just a fantastic job of standing tall for North Central. But Tim and I were talking a little bit before the game, and we looked at that WIAC championship game, right? Oshkosh and Whitewater. And I said, Oshkosh is the real deal. You know, they're an 8-2 team. But I, in my opinion, you just have to take whatever happens in conference and throw it out. Because these teams see each other every single year, time after time after time. So you can't look at a Wheaton score. If you're Mount Union, you can't look at Wheaton NCC and say, we got this figured out, right? It's a totally different team. You haven't seen them before.
Yeah.
And I think the bigger point to make here is there's absolutely no reason that there should be a postseason where North Central was almost not included. This is a team that's going on the road and giving number one all they can handle in Mount Union, and they were sitting sweating it out on selection day. There's got to be a way that you can have the tournament and not leave a team like this to think that it's not going to make it, because the fact that they're one of the last teams into the country, into the tournament, is absurd.
Yeah.
Well, you better believe there's a chip on their shoulder for that reason too, right? Thinking we're number 5 in the country and might be sitting at home, and Mount Union sits. That's a tough second round draw for Mount Union, as tough as it gets.
That's probably the worst of the number 1 seeds as far as the second round draw. It absolutely is. As we get set to start the second half here, counting down the last minute, Central had momentum there, and Dan, you talked about how fickle and fleeting momentum can be, in that Wheaton had scored the first 5 times they had the ball. They come out, Central gets a stop, Central gets another stop, then they take over at the Wheaton 18 after the snap over the head of Bickle. They score on 4th down. They get Wheaton to third and a yard with a chance to get off the field. Wheaton hits the big play, and then they stand tall at the end of the half and don't let him in the end zone. This could easily be a 35-21 game.
Yeah, it could.
And Central so far this year has shown. Tim was talking to a Central fan at the break, and this has been the year of comebacks for them. It's a stressful time. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of tired of that. But that's what it's going to have to be again if Central wants to continue playing, is they have to score on every single drive and hope for some monumental mistakes from Wheaton in order to get this done.
In Alliance, Brock Rutter has just run it in from 11 yards out to put North Central up 2 scores in the 4th quarter. Seems a little silly, but in a top 5 matchup, we might have to put the upset alert on the second round matchup between North Central and Mount Union. They've now scored over 100 points. That would certainly resonate across the country.
This is for a Central offense that's really moved the ball at will on pretty much everybody.
As Bose drills this one deep, wind at his back, and he almost did he put that through the uprights?
Just short.
Just short.
But as I was saying, Central has almost 500 yards of offense per game. They're sitting at 124 right now. They got a long way to go to get even anywhere close to their season average here.
Yeah, and they're going to do it going into the wind in the 3rd quarter. They did score their 1 touchdown going this direction. Surprisingly, Wheaton scored its 5 first-quarter touchdowns going into the wind. 1st and 10 for the Dutch. They'll move 2 and set up 1 in the back. That's Caleb Schlatter. First time we've seen him in the backfield today. They're going to throw this one out, and they've got illegal motion. Too many guys moving. A lot of moving parts on that play for the Dutch, and too many of them going at once.
Tough way to come out of a break for an offense that has struggled so far, one that puts up 500 yards a game, like Tim said.
Snap infraction, number 53 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, it is first down.
Well, that's an interesting call because 53 is not the center. So you've got a snap infraction on somebody who is not the center. Jake Suget has the guilty party. However, Ian Denherter, the freshman out of Mesa, Arizona, is the starting center. And Mountain Union returns to the next kickoff into North Central territory. That game's going to come down to who has the ball last. As rolling to his right is Hawkins. He's going to find his man at the sideline. Roland couldn't quite get there in time. That's Hunter Robinson making the catch. That'll be out across the 20 to the 21 and a 6-yard gain. Excuse me, an 11-yard gain following the penalty.
3 offensive linemen blocked Dallas McCray on that play.
2nd and 4 from the 31. As again, this is a fast-paced Central offense. Motion from Canuck. He will take the handoff running to the left side. Nice job by Caden Sigler. He steps up and will drop him for a loss of a yard. They'll give him the line of scrimmage, so no loss, but still a nice play by Sigler to step up and set that edge.
I'm telling you, man, his progression as a safety, you wondered, but I mean, the size that he's put on, the speed and the conviction that he plays with, I mean, he just makes great plays week in and week out and has really taken a hold of this defensive secondary.
3rd and 4 from the 31. They've got Robbie Schwartz walked all the way into a bunch set. Wyatt Lee comes flying down at the line of scrimmage. He's been very active. We mentioned 3 of his 7 first-half tackles came for loss. Jason Hopp will go to protect the right side of the line now. Motion again from Canuck. This will be Hawkins on a keeper. Kamicha's going to step up. They're going to bring him down shy of the yard to gain. Schindeldecker from behind. It'll be 4th and 2, and on comes the punt unit for Central.
If I'm Wheaton, I actually don't like this right here to bring out the punt unit. I'd rather leave your defense in here with the way that they've been running this rugby punt.
Yes.
You're right, Rusty. I wouldn't be surprised if he tucked it and ran it, tried to pick up a first.
Certainly spy the rugby punt.
The other thing is you've gone to halftime and had an opportunity to make an adjustment on your coverage here. So we'll see what Wheaton does. Anderson was pretty close to tucking it last time. Rolling to his right.
He's going to go.
And here he goes. He's got the blocking ahead. Sure enough, he's out across the 40, 45, 50. And he's going to be brought down out of bounds at the Wheaton 45-yard line. You could see it coming. It was kind of the natural progression of that setup. And the defense quickly right back out onto the field for Wheaton.
Look at just the size of the hole that he has to run through. It's a no-brainer for him to keep that. And you wonder why, if all of us up here saw it and everyone in the stands sees it, like, well, where's the adjustment that you expected to see? Because it was a matter of time before the opportunity presented itself. It did there on 4th and short, and he just gouged Wheaton.
So Hawkins and company back on. See if they try to take a shot. This will be a handoff on the jet sweep across the formation, and Sigler again makes the tackle on Tanner Schminke. First time we've called Schminke's name today. He's been quiet, the junior out of Boone, Iowa.
If nothing else, it's been impressive to watch the perimeter of the Wheaton defense play sound football. They're giving up some plays, but, I mean, 2 yards, 3 yards, 5 at a time. They're holding up well.
And, again, Sigler defeating the block and making the tackle on that play. So play fake for Hawkins. Hawkins, pressure in his face. There's pressure from McCray. He's going to get rid of it. Flag comes down. Schwartz with a quick tackle on the completion. You're going to get a hold, and Dallas McCray already knows it.
Yeah, the only call that can be is holding on an offensive lineman. With the pocket collapsing like that, penalty. It's on O'Connell. You see it over here.
On Holiday, too.
Yeah, pick your offensive lineman to call the holding against. Again, the gain was only going to be for a yard. They've got it marked at the 41.
Holding, offense, number 72. 10-yard penalty, 2nd down.
That's the center, Ian Denherter. And Mount Union has quickly answered. It's 56-52 with 13 minutes left in Alliance.
Unbelievable.
It's just like 2013 with more yardage. It's going to come down to whoever has the ball.
A lot less snow. That game had almost 2 feet of snow come down in a 48-hour span. 2nd and 18 after the penalty. Motion from Hop. Play fake. They're going to set up the screen back to the near side to Robinson. Great play from Schindeldecker. Comes from the back side of the play and hunts him down. Stops him for a short gain. It'll be 3rd and 12 for the Dutch.
The impressive thing about this Wheaton defense is you see a guy like River Schindeldecker come in and tackle the wide receiver on a tunnel screen. They just never stop running. This defense never stops running. When they're out of the play, so to speak, they continue to go. They try to make a play.
Really like what the Central offense has done, though. They've started going laterally to get outside these defensive line, and they've gone quick, and they've gone screens. Really trying to neutralize this front four from Wheaton.
Wheaton with only 3 defensive linemen here. They will bring pressure, though. He dropped a snap. O'Connell in his face, and he's just going to spike this thing down at the feet of Jason Hop. So he avoids the the grounding play. O'Connell and Wyatt Lee making the tackle or making the hit on the quarterback. Well, O'Connell had a heck of a move to knife through a double team there, and now we'll see the punt unit again.
Wheaton was so worried about setting up the return they forgot to make sure the guy punted the ball. There is a guy on the punt return unit whose job is to make sure that the punter punts the ball.
Matthew Tucker is back at the 14-yard line. Good snap, Anderson. This time we'll get it away. And
don't get hit.
And Tucker looked like he threw his hand warmer at him to make sure he could get out of the way.
I think it's the ref's hat. I think a guy went out of bounds.
So Wheaton takes over with what will be their worst field position of the day. They start from their own 4 as Anderson does a nice job of pinning them deep. Anderson, when he has kicked it, has done a nice job of moving Wheaton, changing the field as best he can, kicking into the wind. Stone Watson is the lone back. Wheaton likely going to be without TJ Williams for the rest of the game. He came off, had his ankle retaped, looked like he was testing it on the sidelines, but Wheaton was already up 35-0. There's really no need to push him back into action.
And Stone's been rushing well. He's been running hard.
False start. How
Torini
they missed that, I do not know.
Torini motion down. Give us to Watson, bouncing to the outside, breaks a tackle out to the 10. Still running, and he's going to be brought down shy of the 15 and right near the first down marker. They're going to give it to him.
Stone's looked great. I mean, he looks very, very good, very capable. And he's a guy that typically gets the ball in space on swing passes and things like that and on zones, but he's done a good job in traffic to chew up yardage and get Wheaton away from their own end zone.
That is 95 yards on 9 carries for Stone Watson, who has been running as good as we've seen him this season. Anthony under center yet again, twins to the left side. Play fake off of Stone Watson, all day to throw. He wants to go to Watson on a wheel out of the backfield, but great defense there by Drew Smith running with him.
The best coverage that we've seen out of Central today on play action.
So it'll be 2nd and 10. Drew Smith, another local recruit out of Joliet. On the coverage, 2nd and 10. Torini, who's been very quiet today, split to the right side. Just 1 catch for 5 yards.
Probably got a double move coming here.
They bring pressure across, and almost a heck of a catch. It was thrown behind the tight end, Jack Miller, who had a quick release and was open. That's going to be 3rd and 10. Slipped right inside of Drew Smith there on the release, but couldn't bring it in behind him. So Miller out, Terrell Brown comes in.
I don't think I've ever seen an offensive lineman talk to the white hat ref as much as Clay Wagner does for Wheaton.
Yeah,
He's constantly just jawing at the referee.
He's a captain, so he could be the elected voice for the offense.
No.
That's not it.
3rd and 10 from their own 14. Anthony against a 3-man rush. All day to throw. Dumps off underneath the Stone Watson. And Watson's going to be brought down just across the marker at the 24. Patience from Luke Anthony lets the routes clear. And the missed tackle by Cole Moss, another local product out of Neuqua Valley High School, and he's upset with himself as he goes back to the sideline for Central. They rotate their linebackers quite a bit. Their backups have good tackle numbers. 2 sophomores, the freshman Noah Banstra and Cody Wunderlich, the backup group of linebackers. 1st and 10 from the 24 as we go inside of 10 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter. Wheaton on their first drive of the 2nd half. Give is to Watson, stretching to the near side across the 25. He's going to be hunted down from behind, but will carry tacklers up just shy of the 30. That'll give Stone Watson about 100 yards on the day.
Nice job. Nice job by the Wheaton wide receivers to stay on their blocks and let Stone pick up 5 yards. You know, I'm sure the Wheaton offense is getting a little sick of hearing about how good the defense is here. They were definitely holding their own as well. You'd love to see a nice long drive here, keep getting time off the clock.
Well, and probably certainly some frustration after last week.
Mm-hmm.
This is an offense that hasn't fired the way it's been used to firing for the last couple weeks, and they've hit their stride in the first half. Motion back to the left side for Burt McJunkin on 2nd and 6. Give to Singleton on the counter. Tucks inside, gets across the 30, showing his elusiveness before he's been brought down by Blade Durbala.
Falls at the 31-yard line, gain of 2. 3rd down and 3.
It'll be 3rd and 3 from the 31 as the Thunder offense taking its time.
Well, I don't think anybody expected Wheaton certainly to come out of the gate as fast as the offense did. But I mean, in these conditions too, it's not like it's easy to throw a ball that's wet and cold, but to put up yards and put up points like they did, extremely impressive.
Set 3rd and 3 as they motion Jack Miller. Back to pass Anthony. Has a man wide open, and that is caught by McJunkin at the 44. McJunkin again, and a long injury delay out in Alliance. Trying to figure out who that is for North Central. I believe it might have been Ethan Greenfield, the running back, but then Rudder hits a long shot going deep. And North Central's threatening again, already up 4 against Mount Union. 12 minutes of game left, and what will surely be 5 or 6 more scores. Play fake off a stretch to Singleton. Anthony's going to drop it off to McJunkin. Stumbles, stretches the ball. They're not going to give him the stretch, though. They're going to mark him out at the 49. It's a 7-yard first down play.
You think about the impact of that game, too, from a team perspective. North Central, I think, just surrendered the #1 offense to Mount Union as far as scoring goes. But their defense is what was concerned, but they're doing just enough to stay ahead.
This is a big drive because if North Central is stopped, it comes down to who may have the ball last. If they can keep it sawing between 2-score and a 1-score game, they're going to be in the driver's seat all the way to the finish. 2nd and 3 from the central side of midfield at the 49. They're showing pressure. Hard snap gave it away. Looks like they're bringing 5. They will indeed bring 5, and
Jesse called timeout.
Jesse did not like what he saw. Play clock was down to 2.
Timeout. Wheaton, the first of the half.
And with that, we'll take a quick look around the country. Other games going on besides the one we're watching in Alliance. Delaware Valley has finished off Wesley 45-10. Muhlenberg final over Brockport 42-0. Salisbury final over Union 62-41. Third quarter, Whitewater 34-14 over Wartburg, and Mary Hardin Baylor 36-6 as Huntington is now on the board against Mary Hardin Baylor. Again, one more game going later today will be St. John's at Chapman.
Big 2nd and 3 for Wheaton. It's been a different type of offense so far in the third quarter. A little bit more misdirection, more play action.
It's more of a, when you think about it, the way the offense has been running in this half, it's just get the game over with.
Yeah.
Don't have clock stoppage. Try to keep the chains moving, stay ahead of schedule, and just chew time off the clock because you're in the point now where the game feels like it could be secure, and you just don't want to get guys hurt in these conditions with another game to play.
Right.
And that's Anthony handing off to Singleton, who explodes through the hole, and he will get just enough. That was a good tackle made right as he got through. Connor Lewin able to make the stop. Just holding on for dear life.
This is a game that, for the offensive line, where Jesse's kind of telling them, hey, guys, go win this game. Go take us to the finish line.
And a challenge they have certainly been up to so far today. First and 10 at the 46. Gives to Singleton on the counter. Cuts behind Southall. Gets inside the 40.
Starting to dominate up front.
Yeah, they will get him to the 39.
Well, it goes back to your comment, Tim, as you were looking at Central's defense, especially up front. They're very undersized, and defensive secondary is small as well. And this is, like you said, this is where the offensive coordinator, Jesse Scott, just says, hey, guys, pave the way. It's time to just chew clock and dominate.
And if I'm Taylor Graham up in the booth right there, you just tell him, center guard, great double team. Hibben came off the double team, got some work on the linebacker. If you can do that every play, you're going to pick up first down every 2 plays.
Yep.
Under center on 2nd and 3 from the 39. They're going back into that 3-4 base look. Play fake for Anthony. It's well protected. Goes underneath to Torini. Torini across the 30, and Torini fighting the 25. He'll be stood up and dropped at the 27. And we'll move the chains yet again on what has been a long, dominant drive here from the Thunder that has moved the ball from their own 4 to the Central 27. Again, this is Wheaton's first drive of the second half. They took over with, I think, about 12 minutes or so.
Yeah, it was 11-11, I think.
Yeah, 11-11 left in the third quarter, and they have been driving for almost 6 minutes now.
Just in no hurry to give the ball back in any capacity.
Give on the direction. This is going to be a drop-back pass. They've got it defended well, but Carson Lean's running open and makes the catch at the 6. They run a reverse pass, pitch it back to Anthony, who hits Carson Lean. Gain of 21.
Okay.
Or they are looking to score quickly.
Watson to Matt Tucker to Anthony, and
Lean was just wide open.
Yeah, they had Torini well defended, but Lean was the one left open.
Well, I mean, think about being a defensive player, especially a defensive back. It's like, oh, run, nope, pass, nope. It's just so many decisions being made in the backfield with no pressure from the defensive line.
Stone Watson in motion all the way to the outside. He's gone man-to-man coverage, and now motion across the formation from Lean. They're going to run the fade to Stone. Watson, touchdown Thunder.
Wow.
Watson, a great pass catcher, and he just breaks himself wide open for that easy pitch and catch. That's the 5th touchdown throw of the game for Luke Anthony.
Really good ball for Luke Anthony, too.
Under offense playing with a ton of confidence. Bose adds the extra point, 49-7. As you'll see the replay here, this is a driven back corner throw to Watson, working against the linebacker Drew Smith. Watching things in the line, it's a big 4th down and I think 9 coming up for North Central. They're going to send out the field goal unit. That could be the stop of the game if you're Mount Union, because that's all you can do to keep it a 1-score game. And they're going to need the field goal to be made, given that this the way this game has gone back and forth.
It'll be so Mount-like for them to block it and take it back.
Field goal is good. So the most important thing for Mount is they've got it back into a 1-score game and set that thing up for whoever has the ball last kind of finish.
I mean, we're talking about this game a lot, but think about this if you're North Central. I mean, this is the toughest game you're going to play until the national championship now, presumably, right? I mean, you have every game is hard from here on out, but Mount Union is Mount Union. It's the machine. It's the team that you have to go through to get to or win the national title every single year.
Well, and for North Central, Brock Rutter's final ride, I mean, this is as good a chance as they've got to win the thing.
Well, and he'll solidify the Ghilardi Trophy after today if the voting hasn't already. I mean, it's not done. And when you go,
Fulford might have something to say about it.
Well, hopefully they look at the team who wins, but either way. But it's all you can do is win the game that you have to win, you know. And North Central appears up to the task so far. They are up to the task, but they just need to finish.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated as that one goes on. If you don't want to change the dial over to that one, we'll keep you updated right here from McCully Stadium. Rusty Lindsay joined with Dan Studebaker, Tim March as we head down the stretch here. Less than 5 minutes left, third quarter. Wheaton leading Central 49-7 as they give to Jason Hopp, and he's going to be wrapped up and brought down by Ryan Schwartz. This high-flying Central offense has struggled to get going today.
Number 54, McRae with the tackle.
You're going to struggle running a power running game on this front.
Motion comes from Canuck, and he will come all the way across to the left side. So splits left and right for Central. 4-man rush, play fake for Hawkins, rolling to his right. 2-man route, and it's completed to Robinson, who almost broke free. Corey Kennedy holds on to make the tackle at the 47. Hunter Robinson's had a nice game for Central.
Yeah, that's a great play right there. Again, you see play action. Hawkins gets out of the pocket, and you get a great comeback route on the outside by Robinson. Well-designed play. That's a tough one when you're in man coverage out there.
1st and 10 from the 47. Motion from Canuck. He will get the fake off his back foot. The running back's open, and Schwartz has his second pick of the game. He's going to cut this one back, has some help on the outside, and he's going to be brought down at the 44-yard line. 2 interceptions for Ryan Schwartz, and he lets his own sideline know it.
It's just a classic defensive player with very little help on the block when he gets the pick here. He just runs away from the defender and ends up tackling Schwartz.
This is this is a play that Central runs on a regular basis. They've scored touchdowns on that play where you fake the jet sweep and the lead blocker, who sometimes is out there going to kick out the wide receiver, goes into the flat and up the rail. Hawkins just had to throw it off his back foot, which allowed Schwartz to come over and make his second pick of the day.
So Wheaton with a short field. It may be a chance to put this one away for good. Dave Beamer taking over under center for Wheaton. Again, Anthony missed a couple plays earlier, so maybe taking no chances. This is Will Smith on the carry as the Fresh Prince rolls inside the 39 for a 5-yard gain. We do have a late flag at the point of the tackle.
Hibben thinks it's going to be called on the defensive lineman he was blocking. Kind of got chucked at the end of the play.
Nobody conceding ground here.
Personal foul, face mask, number 54, during the play.
And Hibben is right.
15 yards, automatic first down.
Hunter Matty, the outside linebacker from Mystic, Iowa, the guilty party. So 15 free ones for the Thunder and an automatic first down.
Ball is marked at the 24-yard line. First down and 10 for the Thunder.
As Beamer sits in the shotgun on 1st and 10, clock rolling, 3.5 minutes left. Matt Tucker inside of Carson Lee to the left side, to the right side, Adam Torini left in the backfield with Will Smith. Will Smith takes the handoff, and a nice play made in the backfield by Tate O'Toole. Defeats the block and makes the tackle at the line of scrimmage.
That's been Tate's job all day, is just sit there, get off the block from the wide receiver or tight end and force that ball back inside. Don't let anything outside of him. He's done a good job for the most part.
North Central's defense trying to hold off Mount Union as the Purple Raiders trying to drive to tie things up. They're facing 3rd and 15 at the North Central 42. We'll keep you updated on that one. North Central is trying to shock the D3 world there. Go out to Alliance and end Mount Union's season. Play fake for Beamer. Beamer's going up the rail to Torini, trying to fight his way back to the ball. It's going to be picked off in the end zone.
How do they not call pass interference on that?
No flag on the play, and Central is going to get the turnover.
He got absolutely mugged. Both arms extended by the defender.
See it again here on the replay. Torini's there at the goal line. That is an awful call.
How is that not a...
That is Kyle Mitchell, who gets away with an early hit and face guarding. So Central's going to take over on their own 5. First and 10 from their own 5. Give is up the middle to Hop, who's looking for a whole spins back. Open things up, and Dallas McCray and Jake Holliday meet him there. Big play out in the Lions. 4th and 15 for Mount Union. D'Angelo Fulford is going to move the chains.
You get... Wow. I feel like there's too many plays where you see Dallas McCray get up with his jersey under his shoulder pad, yet you never get the holding call.
2nd and 7 from the 8-yard line for Central. Motion comes from Schlatter. And this will be a give again to Hop, searching for the 10-yard line. He'll find it and get to the 11.
You know, later in games like these, as we're approaching the start of the 4th quarter, 49-7, the game seems to be in hand. It's like you wonder if the ref starts to realize, like, I'm not calling that, man. I'm not calling that defensive or the pass interference. I'm not calling holding.
It'll get you out of the game quicker.
It gets you out of the game quicker, but it doesn't make it any less frustrating for a defensive player or the offensive player.
Yeah, Martin Luther did not get called for any penalties last week.
Shocking.
Central 4 for 35 today. Wheaton 2 for 18. This crew out of the Heartland Conference. And there's one.
Oh, they called
timeout. Almost fished our
timeout Central.
Almost fished our wish there. And it'll be a timeout by the Dutch with 1:26 left. 3rd quarter swinging around. The game's going on right now. Whitewater 41-14 over Wartburg late in the 2nd quarter. Mary Hardin Baylor 39-6 over Huntingdon. St. John's and Chapman getting set to kick off any minute now out in California. And again, North Central is leading Mount Union 59-52 with 5.5 minutes left in Alliance. However, Mount Union has the ball down to the North Central 24-yard line, facing 3rd and 10. The offensive numbers, as you would expect with a score like that, are staggering. Over 1,300 yards of total offense. Brock Rutter's thrown for 512 yards and 5 touchdowns. D'Angelo Fulford's at 498 and 4. Kaminsky is almost 250 yards receiving. Justin Hill's at 220. Video game numbers. 3rd and 4 as Hawkins rolls to his right. O'Connell fights off the block. He's going to tuck it, cut back. He's got room to run. Gets to the 15. He's going to be brought down shy of the 20. A nice play by Caden Sigler to get all the way back across the field and make the tackle, but that'll be a Central first down.
And that's the kind of play that we were talking about pregame with Hawkins, that he can do. He's been hesitant to run the ball. Maybe he'll start, in a do-or-die situation, he'll really start pulling the ball down, but that was a great heady play by him to pick up the first down.
And 9 carries for -5 yards for Hawkins. Again, a lot of that was sack yards. Give his to Hop on first down, and he'll gain a yard or two. Mount Union now with 4th and 3 at the 17. and they're not going to get it. North Central comes up with a stop with less than 5 minutes left, and Mount Union has struggled to stop North Central's offense. That could be all North Central needs to put this thing away. 2nd and 9 here for the Dutch. From their own 20-yard line. Motions hop out into the flat. They'll throw the screen, and Corey Kennedy was all over it but missed a tackle. Sigler misses a tackle, and O'Connell finally wraps him up for a gain of a yard.
Didn't quite get the job done, but was effective there as he was able to slow down the pass catcher out of the backfield. Not a great throw, but good job by Kennedy to stop him up, and Sigler there again with O'Connell in tow. I mean, they just keep running, man. Speed that keeps running.
That's right.
And that will take us to the 4th quarter. Wheaton adds a score, but a quarter that goes by quickly as Wheaton had that long, dominant drive in the middle of the quarter. Really, I believe only 3 drives in that quarter. Central picked up the 4th down on the fake punt.
With almost 5 minutes left in the 4th quarter, North Central 59, Mount Union 52.
As a cheer goes out here at McCulley Stadium with the score announced out in Alliance.
Muhlenberg 42, Brockport nothing.
It's the first time North Central football's ever been cheered for at McCulley Field. Hopefully the last.
Baylor 36, Huntington 6. Wheaton the 3rd, Whitewater 41, Wartburg 21.
Again, the winner of this game, which should Central not be able to come up with a bigger comeback than they did last weekend, would be Wheaton, will advance to face the winner of St. John's and Chapman, which has just kicked off out in California.
Northwestern 29, Illinois 10.
St. John's kind of living that charmed life as well right now. They were lucky to get out of last week's game with a win, beating Aurora. Was it 51-47?
Yeah, and that had not been.
And they were down 11 in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, and Aurora had the drive too, and a little bit of poor clock management down the stretch by the Aurora offense. They had a chance. They had a couple plays with windows that they couldn't quite bring in. And you've got the 3rd quarter stats, so we'll run us through those for us after this play. 3rd and 8 from the 21 for Central. They go 3 wide receivers, 2 by 1, and the snap is back to Hawkins against pressure. Schindeldecker ran right into his own guy, and then the defensive tackles converged in front. Schindeldecker's slow to get up. He thought he was going to get the quarterback, and I think he got Dallas McCray. Yep.
We got 2 Wheaton defenders down now. Schindeldecker down.
Officials timeout if your player.
Yeah, they got shoved into
Dallas
each other.
As well.
Yeah, it looked like Schindeldecker was going to get there, and then all of a sudden Hawkins stepped up just enough, and Schindeldecker smacked right into McCray. And both of them still down.
Really hate to see it.
And again, you hope it's one of those where they just both got the air knocked out of them. It'll be 4th down once they restart play.
Dallas looks like he's just trying to catch his breath.
Yeah.
Schindeldecker's face down on the turf, though, and that's not good.
And
you hope
tackle
it's a
came down
stinger on
him,
both
yeah.
of them, you know?
Yeah, the tackle did land on top of River as he rolls over now. North Central has moved the ball to the Mount Union 46 with only 3 minutes left. And again, the injury earlier in the 4th quarter was to Ethan Greenfield, so they're trying to finish this thing off without their bruising running back, who's run for over 100 yards today.
They are moving the ball.
Ran for 130 yards and 2 scores on 27 carries. Again, he ran for 300 last week. And I think Mount Union's starting to have to pick their spots to use their timeouts. McCray's walking off under his own power. They're still... They've moved on to check out Schindeldecker.
Schindeldecker is sitting in the upright position now, so you know it's nothing with his neck or his back, which is good. And so yeah, Dallas is now foot and a knee down there, talking with Spencer and with Kennedy. Schindeldecker's up now, so good to see. Just hope that it's nothing too serious, as you always do when players get hurt, but especially late in games like these.
There we go. Leaving under his own power. Hopefully he's more just a bit spooked than anything else.
That's probably it for both of those guys for this game, you would think.
If I'm coaching, it is.
Please be set The play clock to 40 seconds and start them both on my ready. Thank you.
Again, the wind still whipping down as hard as it has all day down there on the field. So this will be Anderson to punt with the wind. Takes off on that rugby style, the low burner. Going to take a long bounce,
man.
and Tucker just ran right by it.
You do wonder how much of that is, hey, we don't even want to touch it. We just want the ball back.
Get the ball, yeah. So quick update on statistics for the third quarter. Central now over 200 yards of total offense with 54 plays for 206. Wheaton with 53 for 431. Stone Watson leading the way with 10 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown. Luke Anthony 12 of 18 for 265 and 5 touchdowns. Hunter Robinson leading the way with 5 carries for 24 yards, also leading the way receiving with 6 for 92. Blaine Hawkins 15 of 27 for 154 yards, a touchdown and 2 interceptions.
So Beamer and the offense take over from their own 30. Last time they drove about 6+ minutes and punched it in. This is Will Smith, has a hole, and he's out across the 35 to the 36-yard line.
Pretty solid fourth-string running back.
Incredible.
Jesse Scott and Coach Swider still getting after these officials.
I don't think they like the way that safety came in and cleaned up on.
Something to watch in Alliance. North Central's going to have 4th and 4 at the Mount 40. 2nd and 4 here as McJunkin motions back to the right side. Give on the counter to Will Smith. Finds us a little bit of a seam and gets out to the 40.
He runs with such authority when he gets the ball in his hands.
He's the kind of guy you want in for this. He's very good inside the tackles.
He gets tackled moving forward. It's very difficult to bring a guy like that down for a loss, and he's just dragging guys. Dragging a D tackle 2 yards.
There you go. You got 4th and 4. North Central going for it.
Yeah, no, they've punted out of this already. They are going for it. Rudder, quick slant, incomplete. Mount Union's taken over right at midfield. Wow. Give again
Nice
to Will
blocks.
Smith, stretching to the near side.
There we go.
Breaking tackles, and the Fresh Prince rumbles for 9, maybe 10, and I think they're going to give him a first down here.
I mean, it's incredible the depth that Wheaton has at the running back position. I mean, we talk about TJ all the time. Then you go to Stone, who's had 100 yards today. You go to Sam Singleton, who's a stud as a sophomore in his now sophomore year, but was very productive as a freshman. Came off some injuries, but then you go to Will Smith, who's just rumbles and bumbles for 8-10 yards. I mean,
Plus your freshman backs that are on special teams.
Both very productive today with both with huge hits on kickoff, and it's awesome to see.
1st and 10 at midfield following that long run. Central showing pressure. This is a handoff to Singleton. Cuts away from the pressure. Singleton to the 45, and he's going to be submarined just shy of the 40. Tackle made on the play by Dre George, who ended up with the interception on Wheaton's last drive.
Starting to see a bit of will being imposed on this Central team.
The backup's in across the line for Wheaton. Left tackle Sam Rogers. Jack Miller outside of him. The left guard is Grant Miller. Derek Johannick, the freshman in at center. As this is Singleton again, they marked him about a yard shy, and he gets it done. Well, Mount Union quickly down inside the North Central 10-yard line. The problem here is you don't want to give Brock Rudder time.
I think you go for 2.
There's still 2 minutes left. That's plenty of time. And they make a first down stop. It is worth knowing Paulina's out there at right tackle right now. He was injured last week, so good to see Joey Paulina. He's injured during practice this week. Good to see Paulina back out there. Pitch out to Will Smith, and the ball's still loose, and Beamer finally falls on it back at midfield.
Hey, let's keep Will inside the tackles.
Yeah. Well, just a strange pitch from the beginning, too.
Yeah, that was a little clunky.
Yeah, that wasn't a very good pitch.
No.
Well, it's going to be 3rd and goal for Mount Union. They've got Fulford stopped twice. 3rd and goal from the 11. 2 plays for a whole lot of history on the line for North Central.
2nd and 20 for Wheaton.
And Mount Union is letting that clock run. They're taking their time, getting it down inside a minute. So if they score, Brockharter's not going to have time to win this thing in regulation. Both quarterbacks have thrown for over 500 yards. Beamer back to pass on 2nd down, and it is behind Jack Miller.
The pass was incomplete, intended for number 82, Jack Miller. 3rd down.
Great game by the Wheaton offensive line today. I don't think we've had really, outside that first 3rd down scramble that Luke Anthony picked up, there really hasn't been much pressure that he's had to evade or Beamer's had to evade.
Yeah, the one time you think of him scrambling was because of got caught off guard on the snap. Snap got sent back a little early, and he ran for it. So 3rd and 20 here for Beamer with 10.5 minutes left in this game as Singleton splits out to the right side.
Looking for quarterback draw here.
Back to pass, and there it is. However, he's going to be brought down before he can take off. 32, Noah Banstra, the freshman linebacker, making that tackle. So this should set up a Bickle special.
4th down and 17.
Yeah, expect this to be very, very high with that little lob wedge that he has. So if not caught, you could see another one inside the 5, inside the 10.
Bickle has pinned 15 inside the 10, 9 inside the 5. 25 total inside the 20. Snap is back. He's going to power this thing down. It's going to bounce it to 20. Caught by Robinson. A little chip and run there.
Trying to keep it out of the wind.
Yeah. But it's another one inside the 20 and well covered by the Thunder. It appears that Mount Union's been hit with a penalty, so it's 3rd and goal from the 17 now for the Purple Raiders.
See a mass substitution now here for Wheaton's defenses. You've got many number 2s and 3s in.
They get to Fulford again. The North Central defensive line has carried the water for them down the stretch. Ball game's on the line in Alliance. 4th and goal. Mount Union has to score or North Central's going to knock them out. Hawkins on the screen, and then Wheaton is all over it. Heck of a play by Nate Gers.
Just fights through the block, just overpowers the wide receiver and makes a great play, slows him up and gets the tackle.
Very impressive to me how disciplined the Wheaton 2s are. They're not the ones in there getting all of the plays, but they're very disciplined. They know their assignments. I mean, it takes everybody who plays to do their assignment to be the number 1 defense when you're blowing teams out and you got your 2s in there for most of the second half. They're very disciplined.
2nd and 12 as they will hand this ball to Hop in between the tackles. He gets out to the original line of scrimmage and gets to the 15. Mount Union has called timeout with 7 seconds left. So the ball game has boiled down to one play. 4th and goal from the 15-yard line. North Central leading 59-52.
Yeah, pretty tough here. It's almost like you just go to Justin Hill here on.
Yeah, well,
you got to force him the ball.
Mount Union's offensive line has looked out of gas here down the line. North Central's defensive line has really been getting to Fulford. 3rd and 9 from the 15 for the Dutch. Rolling to the right is Hawkins. Pressure coming from behind him. He's just going to throw this into the Wheaton sideline.
As you mentioned, Tim, it's one of those things where you love to see the 2s of Wheaton being as successful as they are against a number 1 offense in Central, a very capable offense. I mean, this is something that I think has really progressed as Wheaton is the depth of the team, and there isn't as severe a drop-off between the starters and the 2s and 3s. So with a playoff roster, you've got 56 guys on the field that you can choose from. So you can't just do a mass, say all of the 2s are in, right? So you see Jake Holliday still in the game, but there isn't a huge drop-off. I mean, these are capable players playing against a great offense.
Anderson booms this one again, and Tucker just lets it go.
Central Sunday Hop.
The former punt returner in me gets so upset when the ball hits the ground, partially because we used to not get a second chance.
Yeah.
You let that ball hit the ground, you weren't returning punts anymore.
Elsewhere around the country, Wartburg trailing Whitewater. They've closed the gap. It's 41-21. Wartburg with the ball early 4th quarter. Mary Hardin Baylor 42-6, finishing that thing off down in Belton against Huntingdon. Chapman up 3-0 early against St. John's. Again, the winner of that game will be coming here to McCulley Stadium next week.
Man, I'd love to get those Cali boys into some snowy weather here in Wheaton next weekend.
1st and 10 from the 27. They will stretch Will Smith to the far side. He's going to cut it back, had nowhere to go, and he's going to somehow get 5 yards out of this. Great vision from Smith. Here's a 4th and goal play for Mount Union. Fulford's flushed out of the pocket. He's throwing it into the end zone, and it's picked off. North Central's done it.
Unbelievable.
North Central has knocked out Mount Union.
Wow.
Wow.
That's unbelievable.
What a program win for them. Now they get to go. Who did they go? Did they go play Muhlenberg?
They will travel to Delaware Valley next week.
Okay.
A convincing win over Wesley today, 45-10.
I think that Del Val and Muhlenberg, those are two tough teams. Obviously not of Mount Union's.
As that's Will Smith again for the first down. It's worth noting Delaware Valley is the #1 pass defense in the country.
Interesting.
So it's not going to get any easier, obviously, and they're going to have to continue to go on the road. But you've knocked down Goliath.
Well,
I mean,
I'll tell you what though, just as a Wheaton player, being the champions of the CCIW, having your #2 team go to Mount in the playoffs and knocking them off,
great conference
keeping them out of the quarterfinals for the first time in like 25 or 30 years. That's a huge win for the CCIW across the board. A ton of pride in that as a CCIW alum and being the champion of that conference. Amazing.
1st and 10 from the 43. The CCIW is going to have 2 of the final 8 teams playing in the country. Short carry there across the 45 to the 46 for Will Smith.
I'm glad that was quite a game. I'm at a loss for words. I can't believe you score, you give up 52 points and you beat Mount Union. It's incredible.
Well, that's the first time in this millennium that the Purple Raiders have not made it out of the second round. As Beamer sits back to pass on 2nd and 7 and has a comeback route, and Caleb Brink just dropped it. No pressure, and he just chops that one. So congratulations to the Cardinals, who have blown open the right side of the bracket.
That was the game that was circled by all of the national coverage on D3. Was how does that happen? How does Mount Union draw North Central in the second round?
I don't think it's the same for North Central.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. How does North Central barely get in and then get Mount in the second round?
Well, from the pure aspect of regional rankings, Mount Union being 1, North Central being 4. That stacks up to right about where you'd want it. Now, that's one of the rare instances where you've got an in-region game and it works out cleanly, but from where we are, 1 versus 4 fits pretty well there. That's just an extremely good 4.
Yeah, right.
And on will come Bickle after the scramble can't pick things up for Beamer. So North Central will travel east again next week to Delaware Valley. The final offensive tally in that game, 1,412 offensive yards.
Oh my goodness.
As Robinson makes the punt return out to the 37-yard line.
This is about the most adversity that Mount has probably gone through in 2 decades. You wonder how some of the former players are reacting to the end of a. I mean, obviously they're still very good. They'll probably be
that's
back next year,
by no means an end of an era. But
it is a bit though. The streak had to come to an end at some point. But
1st and 10 from the 37 for Central as they motion over with Schlatter and Norum on 1st down. And Hawkins will give right up the middle this time.
Think about this, guys. Rusty, you mentioned that there was over 1,400 yards total in that single game. And that was against the #2 defense. You know, that Mount Union's the #2 defense in the country behind Wheaton. Wheaton has given up 1,987 yards all season.
Wow.
Pitch sweep on second down to Jordan Woods, and he's going to be brought down by Braden Anthony. Pursuing from the inside, 4.5 minutes. So we are 4.5 minutes away from officially getting to put Wheaton on the board. And Wheaton will host the quarterfinal for the first time in program history. Now they will just await an opponent, the winner of St. John's and Chapman. St. Chapman up 3-0, and they have blocked a field goal, and they will take over at the St. John's 26-yard line.
Wow. Interesting.
That's a St. John's team that trailed by 11 in the fourth quarter. Almost, and is it intercepted? No, in and out of the hands of Ben Locos at the end. Braden Anthony had it blown up. Hawkins looking for Jordan Woods.
That's a player to keep an eye on next week if River can't go, is Braden Anthony. He's a great special teams player, brother of Luke Anthony. He'd be the next man up, I would imagine, filling in.
Correction, that was not Anthony, that was Jorge Ibarra recognizing that screen. And that'll bring on the punt unit for Central. Danny Anderson is not listed as their starting punter. It appears that they have a little bit of punter by committee, or they ride the hot hand at punter. This one is just punched low and run. And it'll make its way down to the 12. Their starting punter is a backup tight end, Q. Baker McCauley at 6'2", 265. Whoa. And he got tackled on the slow snap. And after that, it's been all Danny Anderson.
If I'm Wheaton here, I mean, you think about just getting this game over with now, you know. Try to just clock it out, grind as much time out as you can on the ground. No need to go to the air. You've got a running back capable of running between the tackles.
Give again to Will Smith. He's going to be wrapped up at the line of scrimmage.
Number 23, Smith with the ball, stopped by number 92, Durbala.
Blade Durbala, it looks like, making that tackle. Doing a nice job getting off the block of Paul Fay. Seeing McNeil Stout into the game for the first time today, freshman wide receiver. Out there with Terrell Brown, the sophomore. Caleb Brink split out to the right side. As Beamer in the shotgun on 2nd and 10, will give to Will Smith. Breaks out of a tackle, gets across the 10. He's going to be wrapped up. Dragged out of bounds.
Clock stays running, though.
Connor Lewin, the senior.
Well, guys, this day's going very well. Now we just need Minnesota to keep the axe this afternoon, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, great.
Come on, guys.
Chapman on its way into almost to extend a 2-score lead. Instead, they fumble, and St. John's recovers. So St. John's managed to avoid an early 2-score deficit out in California. Again, the winner of Chapman and St. John's will be coming to McCauley Stadium for the quarterfinals next week. 3rd and 9 here for the Thunder, clock running. And Dave Beamer out of the shotgun. Will give on the delayed handoff to Singleton, and well recognized there. And the tackle made by Noah Banstra.
No surprise there. I mean, they ran the ball up the middle 3 straight times. They'll send the punting unit out, but it's going to end up taking off 2 minutes off the clock, which is exactly what you expected. I mean, there's no reason, as we've talked about, there's no reason to grind up yardage anymore. Just get the game over with. Move on. Dominant, convincing win after a little bit. I mean, it was 51-7 last week, a little bit suspect, just a little bit unclean, but this was as clean a game as there was, offensively and defensively. Both sides of the ball played well. Special teams were great when called upon, and you got a load coming next week. It's the quarterfinals.
And not that Central was going to be a gimme, but the gimmies are over. As Bickle is going to line this one into the wind. Robinson makes the catch. Great coverage by Peyton Estes.
Tackle on the play by number 17, Peyton Estes. Cross grab midfield, first down, Central. Ladies and gentlemen, to the conclusion of today's
nice coverage made by Estes, listed as a quarterback.
For 10 minutes after the conclusion.
Again, we will, as we did last week, we will not have post-game interviews for you. You can find those on the Wheaton Athletics page, as we will have the filmed press conferences after this game. Minute 22 as Hawkins going to throw this one in the flat for Hunter Robinson, who's had a game he can be proud of to end his career today. Robinson it's going to put him near almost 100 yards receiving. He also is their leading rusher at 5 carries for 24 yards. This is an offense that came in one of the best in the country, averaging just shy of 500 a game, and they have run 61 plays for 203 yards. Give is again to Woods, and he is buried inside the 45. Did the ball come out there? A lot of bodies diving in late.
And this is a Central offense, and looking at their starting offense, they're going to return 6 starters on offense, including Blaine Hawkins, the stud quarterback who was kept contained pretty well today. I mean, this is a program that we could see in the future. I mean, they're going to win more football games in that conference for sure.
Well, I'd imagine Wartburg, they had the conference for them was great last week, not so strong today, but I'd imagine Wartburg's back too.
Going up the rail to Robinson's got a step on Levanchi, and he's going to haul it in. And Hunter Robinson goes over 100 yards receiving, and Central's going to go out on a high note here despite the final score as he beat Ryan Levanchi on the go route. And Hawkins has his second touchdown throw of the day. We'll put him at an even 200 yards.
Nice throw by Hawkins, nice route by Robinson. Bit surprised Levanchi got beat there. I mean, it's just a simple post route.
He was absolutely cooked, though.
Yeah.
44-yard touchdown pass, and the snap goes through the hands of the holder. And no extra theatrics after that one. It's just smothered. Estes is there again to make the tackle. We'll see the replay here. Touchdown pass number 44 on the season for Blaine Hawkins. Using the wind as his aid. And an easy pitch and catch there for Robinson.
We'd love to just see Central kick it deep. I'm not sure they'll do that, but Wheaton does not have the hands team out.
Wartburg continues to chip away, 41-28 to score. Whitewater leading Wartburg, however, running out of time with only 3:20 to play in that game. And Wartburg had that furious rally from down 49-14 against Central. They sent that game to overtime at 49. And then they scored first. Central scored second. Central ran the swinging gate and powered in the two-point conversion to win it. Fair catch called for by Tucker. We'll drop it back into the end zone, and that will be a touchback.
Kickoff goes through the end zone for a touchback.
That is perhaps why we did not catch punts today. And think about it, really, it's just get the game, get the ball back. There's no sense in anything theatrical, just...
So it'll be victory formation for the Thunder, and they can just drop everyone off. Wheaton will improve to 12-0 on the season. They tie a program record for single-season wins, and they'll have a chance to set one next week against either Chapman or St. John's. Chapman leading that game 3-0 in the first quarter. You can flip over and watch that one as the CCIW will make up 2 of the final 8 teams. In case you missed it, North Central knocking off Mount Union earlier today, 59-52. Wheaton's going to be a 49-13 winner here at McCulley Stadium. A dominant first half and then an efficient second half put the finishing touches on this one. Again, a recap of this game will be available, as well as quarterfinal information as it is announced by the NCAA tomorrow. That'll be available on the Wheaton Athletics page, athletics.wheaton.edu. For Tim March and Dan Studebaker, I'm Rusty Lindsay. Thanks for tuning in today. Our final score, 49-13. The Thunder moving on to the quarterfinals. You've been watching NCAA football on the Wheaton Thunder Sports Network.